What's going on, fellow A-Plusers? It is I, your host, as always, Adam Perez, coming through once again with a brand new episode of A-Plus Hero Report, your weekly stop for your Marvel, DC, television, and movie news, streaming for you guys live today over on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch for you guys today. We got a stacked show, guys. 6 main topics we're going to be getting into. We got a Man of Steel writer kind of talking about the idea of the DCEU maybe going a little bit too fast to become the MCU, along with some Venom 3 teases for you guys. We also got the idea of maybe a Guillermo Del Toro Star Wars film and much more, guys. So let's go ahead and get into today's episode. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of A-Plus Hero Report. We got the gang here with us today, certainly coming through for you guys wherever you're at this Sunday afternoon. I hope your weekend is going fantastically well, and hopefully we can end it on a good note for you guys as we wrap it up with some honorable mentions, live viewer questions, and of course, 6 main topics that we're going to be getting into today. What's going on, Stuart? Good to see you, buddy.
Hey, good to see you too. How have you been this last week?
Not too bad. The kiddo has been kind of up and down in regards to his eating habits. For anybody out there that has a toddler, if you got any suggestions on getting a kid to eat his food, please go ahead and let me know. I don't know. He's had an upset stomach the past couple days. Homeboy's literally just been wanting to drink his milk. He barely has been touching some of his food. He might nitpick at it a little bit. So I don't know. It might be a kind of got to change up his schedule sort of thing. I don't know. But any advice to parents out there that have had toddlers that have been struggling with getting them to eat, please go ahead and let me know in the comment section box below, or shoot me an email sometime. All our contact information's in our description box. But outside of that, other than that, kiddo's doing great. Girlfriend's doing great. She's at work right now. But we're pushing through, man, each and every day. How's work been for you, man?
Oh, work's been great this last week. Tips haven't been as good, of course, because we don't have we still do have Barbie, not Oppenheimer anymore, but of course Barbie isn't doing anywhere near as good as it did 2 months ago, obviously, because it's been hella long. But that being said, it's still going decent. We just got Dumb Money, which is doing decent, not amazing, but it's doing pretty good numbers at our theater.
I've heard some pretty good things about it.
Yeah, from the scenes that I've walked in on, it looks pretty good. It's definitely on my list. I'm not in a hurry to see it, but I do want to see it before the year ends.
I have not checked out the movie theater list to see what's even playing right now. But that would kind of explain, we don't have a Barbieheimer sort of event, so maybe things are a little bit slow at the movies these days.
You say that, but next week,
what is next week?
It is not going to do anywhere near as good as Paramount thinks it's going to do, but Paramount is trying to promote their own version of Barbenheimer next week, and they're calling it Saw Patrol, because we got Saw X and Paw Patrol coming out the same day, and I think they're trying to recapture wouldn't it be funny to take these 2 movies that are nothing alike and do a double feature with them? But the thing is, I don't know many Saw fans that would be interested in Paw Patrol, and I definitely don't think any Paw Patrol parents would want to take their kids to Saw X.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I don't know how that's a double feature, right? Because your kids definitely can't go see Saw X and then just be like, oh, maybe I'll pick up the kids afterwards real quick and then we'll go see Paw Patrol. But we'll see how that turns out, man. If anything, I am kind of interested to see what Saw X does. Look, I've fallen off that franchise a long time ago, but there is something interesting about John Kramer coming back as Jigsaw, to have him have a significant role in this movie. That does interest me a little bit. So I feel like it's been a minute since we've seen him in a Saw movie. So I'm eager to have him come back. But I think we also got Indy in the house today. Let me go ahead and try and bring him into the discussion. What's going on, boy? Good to see you.
Yo. What's going on? What's going on,
man?
Yeah, something like that. Something like
that line. I like that edging, man.
Yeah.
How's your weekend been?
Weekend's good. Tired. Show last night. Didn't go on till about 11:15. Show ended about 1 a.m, and I had a 3.5 hour drive back home.
Oh my goodness!
Wow.
And then up for this. So yeah,
hustling over there.
And you're still up for Hero Report. Awesome.
Dedication.
I barely got up, and then got up to the grandkids being here. Animals still to be fed. So I was like, adulthood.
Yeah, bro, tell me about it, man. My kiddo's been getting up kind of early lately. Yeah, his stomach hasn't been feeling too well, man. So yeah, he definitely keeps us up for sure. I just feel like it's just been frustrating. If anything, there's been frustration around the house. Like you could tell me and the girlfriend are like so fed up with kiddo at times that sometimes our frustration bleeds out onto each other. And it's just like,
It
no, we gotta woo-saw, woo-saw. It's gonna be okay, you know?
it happens. Let's not.
It happens.
We might turn this into a dad
A dad
podcast.
podcast. Yeah,
But
Stuart, when you having your kid?
Never.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the way we
No,
talk
the
about having
girlfriend-
kids,
yeah.
we probably scare them.
Exactly. Not kidding. Just my girlfriend and I have like talked about it, and we're kind of like in an agreement. Like obviously, like it's not like set in stone, like it'll never ever happen. But as of now, we just don't see it happening for us anytime like sooner in the future. But like we're both open to the fact that our minds could change over time.
Yeah, live your life, man. Enjoy your life for as long as you can until you have
Yeah.
kids. Because I will tell you, for me, while I personally have always wanted to have a family, I know Cindy is the type of person that has always wanted to travel before she had a kid. That unfortunately didn't happen. And we always hear from people that are like, kids are going to change your life. It's this different type of love. You've never experienced it. You're going to absolutely love it. We were like, okay, whatever. We didn't know what to expect. But now that we have a kid, it's like, man, I feel like almost like everybody should have the opportunity to be a parent someday. So, but I'm not going to pressure you, Stuart. I'm gonna pressure you because it's not for everybody. I will admit it's not for everybody. But me having a kid, it definitely has opened my eyes a little bit. But yeah, Indy clearly disagrees. He's like, "Can I give some of them back?"
Nah, you said that, and Casey Anthony popped dead in my head for some reason.
Okay, yeah, maybe not. Yeah,
but nah. Have you tried lactose-free milk?
no, they've been telling us just whole milk right now because he's not even 2 years old.
No,
yet.
they have lactose-free whole milk, like
okay.
without the milk fat, because it's what I had to switch my daughter to.
Okay.
For that, because we had to put her on a sensitive stomach baby formula as well when she was younger, because she was having all types of stomach issues, and that helped a lot. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
To the point where I started drinking it myself because it started to help me.
Help you too?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah, well, I'll definitely talk about it with the girlfriend for sure. We're definitely trying to come up with some game plans.
Tastes just like whole milk. The only thing they do is remove the lactose. So they just take out the milk fat.
Even better, man. Even better, because I love me some whole milk. Let's give some quick shout outs to people that are joining us in the live chat. Plus, listen, if you're watching us live, wherever you're watching us from, we got 8 people on the YouTube channel today. Hit that like button, man. It definitely does go a long way. Hit that share button. Share these videos, guys, as we are going live. Shout out to Enrique Perez in the house today with us. We got Blossom joining us as well. Ram Jam in the house. Marcelino Vasquez certainly coming through. He says, I finally saw the 2021 Mortal Kombat movie. If you want to know my thoughts, read my comments. Yeah, he did leave some comments on the Mortal Kombat review if you want to go ahead and check out some of his thoughts. Datila, what's up, Datila? Certainly coming through. We're pumping out some wrestling content these days for you guys also, as the WrestleManiacs podcast is official, ladies and gentlemen, coming to you under the A+ Hero Report umbrella. We got some great videos up on our channel so far, and I think next week we're going to be doing a review for the 1992 Royal Rumble, and then after that, the following week, I believe we've got the Fastlane predictions video we're going to be recording, and then after that, I think we've got a WWE Superstars video review that we're going to be doing also. So some wrestling content coming to you guys for over like the next 3 or 4 weeks. So definitely look out for that. And I think we already brought up Enrique Perez. We got Johnny in the house. What's up, Johnny? I appreciate you certainly coming through. But yeah, guys, hit that like button if you want to go ahead and support the channel. If you want to support us monetarily and help us out, we definitely would appreciate it. There is a super chat feature along with the super stickers or super images. If you go ahead and donate to the page, we'll definitely bring your comment up first. We'll stop what we're doing and focus solely on you, bring you on the air to go ahead and highlight your comments. And look, if you can't help us out monetarily, again, like and share these videos.
You should probably put a limit on Marcelino and tell him no more than 3 at a time.
What the
super chats?
Super chats?
Tell him no more than 3 at a time.
Hey man, no, send us as many super chats as you want, Marcelino. You never want to. Johnny also says, hey, Adam, don't forget Cosmic Fury in 5 days, man. Let's be ready. Yeah, Cosmic Fury is going to be dropping on the 29th. So next Friday, I actually have that day off so I can go ahead and binge Cosmic Fury for you guys. But they actually just dropped a brand new trailer or not a trailer, but a clip last week. If you guys didn't have the opportunity to check it out, I did go ahead and give some thoughts on it on the YouTube channel. So if you want to go ahead and check that out, let me know. But you know what, Stuart? You know what? Actually, let's get into honorable mentions because I do want to ask you your thoughts on Cosmic Fury clip. But let's go ahead and kick into our next segment real quick. So what did you think of the Cosmic Fury clip, Stuart?
I thought it was awesome. I mentioned it before when we talked about like kind of the brief trailer that we had, like how they were doing some drone shots very similar to how they do in Super Sentai.
Yeah.
And now kind of seeing that whole thing play out and finding out that that's apparently going to be like the opening for the first episode. I definitely think they're opening it with a bang. Gets me excited.
Yeah, I think it's a really great pacing and tone to kind of set off the episode one. I'm just thinking to myself, is the whole entire series gonna be like this? Just like started right off, just thrusting us into the action and stuff. So I'm kind of digging it. I don't know if you've had the opportunity to check it out, Indy. Have you seen it at all?
Yes, this is probably I wasn't excited for this beforehand because you know how I feel how about the Power Rangers franchises went, but with the change that's getting ready to come and with this being, I guess, with them adding who they added to it and just with everything looking different and feeling different and with the passing of, you know what I'm saying, JDF, I don't want to say obligated to watch, but I feel like as a fan and the effect that that's had on my life that I need to pay more attention. You know what I'm saying, to what's going on. So I'm really eager to check it out, but I will hold no barred. I will not hold my tongue when it comes to the truthism of how I will tear apart this show if I am not enjoying it. Now I won't do it on the YouTube, but I will do it on Instagram. I will tear this show apart scene by scene if I do not like it. But I'm looking forward to it, and I like the way they are going because I feel like this is where I wanted them to go to. I want them back to original because I feel like the best they were is when they had original content, when they decided to do original stuff, and I want them to get back to original stuff because the whole the whole borrowed footage thing just felt, which it was cheap. It felt cheap. It looked cheap. And I know they could be better than that. You know what I'm saying? And the actors who take their time to bring these characters to life deserve better than that. You know what I'm saying? So I'm looking forward to seeing what Netflix can do. And if it goes by anything they've done before, look, nobody thought they'd do the One Piece live action right. They did. So maybe they'll get Power Rangers right too.
Yeah, I certainly hope so, man. But we'll see how it turns out. Again, September 29th, Cosmic Fury heads your way. Shout out to YARC9 in here. He says the DCEU is dead. And now DC Studios and James Gunn moved to the UK. What do you think? I kind of dig it. Look, for me, I dig the idea of the move to the UK. I am kind of curious if that's going to be like the primary hub where a lot of the movies start filming, or if they still have. Clearly, I'm assuming they still have studios here in Cali. What are you thinking, Indy?
I'm thinking, are they moving there to avoid another strike?
I don't think so because unless they're hiring in the UK, if they're hiring actors in the UK, then that actually is a bold strategy. But if you're still using American actors, it doesn't matter where you're filming, the same rules do apply.
I can see them doing that.
So they are expanding the studios out there, and DC Studios is really getting its own home. They're having a huge expansion out there, so they're going to have a huge lot to film a lot of their movies on. And for me, I dig it just because it feels like it's a commitment to what James Gunn and Peter Safran are certainly doing, and I think they're taking it very seriously. So I'm assuming they probably will still shoot out here, but same thing with like Disney, like they've got Pinewood Studios out in the UK or something like that, if I'm not mistaken. So this is just a further expansion for DC Studios, which I think is a good move.
I think it's also like just so Warner Brothers can, still keep producing DC content on the regular, but also be able to like not take away from any of their other movies that they'd want to do. They don't want to like just be the DC studio. They want to make sure they're still Warner Brothers. That's what I think is like the main purpose of it too.
Sean, he does say, he says Amber hurt the DCEU the most. Hopefully, no Mara in the reboot of James Gunn. I mean, I personally don't think she hurt it the most, but I definitely do think a little bit tarnished. But a lot of people tarnish the DCEU, unfortunately. But she is in the reboot, unfortunately. Well, not in the reboot, but she is in the Aquaman 2, at least.
If they're gonna reboot, you can reboot Mara, but you just recast.
Yeah,
that's
yeah. I'm sure they'll probably do a lot of. Yeah, I'm sure they'll probably do a lot of recasting for James Gunn stuff. You guys have any honorable mentions?
I got one, although I have a feeling it might be Indy's honorable mention. But that is that apparently Jamie Lee Curtis is interested in joining the cast of One Piece season 2, and I'm judging by that reaction that was probably your honorable mention. But yeah, this is something that excites me. It's like funny because like every time I like check her Instagram every now and then, I'm reminded, oh wait, Jamie Lee Curtis is kind of a nerd. That's awesome. It's like a role that she doesn't want to like say she's going for yet because of the actor strike. She wants to like wait till the strikes are over. But as soon as it is, she then wants to kind of campaign herself to play this. I can't remember the character's name. It's Dr. Kuria, or sorry, what is it, Indy?
Do you remember the character name?
No, because I haven't got that far in One Piece yet. Leave me alone.
But yeah, no, I think it's pretty cool that Jamie Lee Curtis is being that outspoken about wanting this role. I definitely do think she'll land it if she hasn't already secretly behind the scenes. But I think that'd be pretty cool to see that come up.
I'm happy about her wanting to do that because that is a lot better than her being cast in the Borderlands 2 movie. Because that casting in that movie was terrible. And I'm so glad that the writer strike put a halt to that movie because I don't even want to see that piece of crap come out. I don't care who's in it. It's just done. But I'm looking forward to this. She'd be great in that role. She fits that role. She looks exactly like the character. So I'm 110% for
it. Do you have another honorable mention, Indy,
or
did he steal yours?
Well, since he took that, is less an honorable mention and more a happy moment. To all you Apple users out there, as an Android fan, I want to welcome you to the world of USB Type-C.
Hey.
Faster charging, faster data transfer. Welcome to the future, finally.
Wait, so Apple phones now have USB-C chargers?
Yes.
Finally, I'm more happy because I just wish that like every phone would have like universal chargers and then headphones. Like I remember the memes came out when Android decided to finally get rid of the headphone jack. You know, the big meme was you had Obi-Wan being like, "You were the chosen one," because yeah, it's just I hate how it's like you need a different charger for every different device rather than making them all universal and making it simpler.
I was actually surprised. I thought you were going to talk about the Creed anime today, Indy. I thought you might bring that up. No,
no. Well, I'm not too happy about the studio that's doing it. And I honestly think John has something he wants to, post about. So I was gonna let him do that because I know we talked about it on one episode of Anime Assembled when they first announced it. I'm just not. I'm over the Creed verse right now.
I get you. For those of you who don't know, there is a Creed anime short, according to comingsoon.net. Creed Shinjidai? Shinjidai? Shida?
Yeah.
Shinjida? It's a sci-fi anime short that played with Creed 3 in Japan earlier this year. It's actually coming to the U.S. theaters for a limited time. MGM Studios announced that it's going to be playing alongside showings of Bottoms at the Alamo Drafthouse in Los Angeles for 1 week only, beginning September 22nd. So if you are in the LA area, check out the Alamo Drafthouse to, I guess, maybe see Bottoms, because you will get the opportunity to see the Creed anime short. I think it says it's an incredible interplanetary adventure about 3 young boxers. Together, they learn how to enhance individual powers by connecting to each other and to the legendary fighters that came before. So I don't know. I am kind of curious if this is like a little bit of a tease as to maybe what we might eventually get in the future. I mean, when we have talked about the Creed verse a while back here on Hero Report, I think some of us were shocked at the idea that they were thinking about doing a Creed anime. But again, this is just a short. It's not like it's a series. So I am kind of curious if this is they're releasing it here to maybe test the waters and see if we would be open to a Creed anime. I don't know what to make of it though.
It sounds
I mean,
intriguing, but like I'd have to see like the final results to like kind
It's
of make a judgment.
this is where it gets me. I feel like almost it's like a short that comes in front of the Pixar movies that has nothing to do with what's going to happen with the movie or what's going to happen with the future. It's just something to get you hyped up, you know, like before the movie comes on. And that's one of the reasons why I feel like I'm not excited for this particular short. I'm more excited for the anime that was pitched, you know what I'm saying, that was going to follow his daughter. And you know what I'm saying, like her journey and stuff coming up, because that actually has a direct, you know what I'm saying, line to the Creed movies to start off with. And if it leads into them doing a time skip where we get a live action movie where his daughter is the one who's actually boxing now, you know what I'm saying, that's something that I'm looking forward to. So it, to me, in the anime world, as we would like to call this is filler. Has nothing to do with the canon story.
Yeah, absolutely not. You can definitely tell from just the description of it. Another quick honorable mention: Good Burgers 2 dropped a poster for you guys. November 22nd, it looks like Good Burger 2 dropping on Paramount Plus. If you've got Paramount Plus and you're in the need for some nostalgia, Good Burger 2 might be right up the alley for you. Are you looking forward to that, Indy or Stuart?
Hell yeah.
Yeah, I'm a huge Kel Mitchell fan. I wish his career would have went farther because I felt like he was talented. But
I totally
hey,
agree.
he keeps in that Nickelodeon niche.
Yeah, he definitely does. We also got a trailer for Percy Jackson and the Olympians, a brand new series set to go ahead and drop December 20th. It's like the Battle of the Oceans, December 20th, because you get Percy Jackson and you get Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. So it's going to be the Battle of the Oceans on Friday, December 20th. This is the buildup. Instead of Barbenheimer, this should be Aqua Jackson. Week for sure.
And the bad thing about it is, as much as people don't want to admit it, Percy Jackson is going to be better than Aquaman.
Oh man. Well, again, this is a series, so it's not a movie, but I am kind of curious to know. Look, they did drop a brand new trailer also for Percy Jackson and the Olympians. Did you guys get a chance to check out the new trailer that dropped? Or I think it's like the teaser trailer.
Amazing.
Yeah, I totally agree. It's one of those things where it's like I am thrilled that the author and the creator of Percy Jackson is getting the opportunity to actually tell his story. He feels like very much in the more proper way, and I think the fact that we're getting the series, I think people that were fans of the book are going to be really pleased with this series, just because the trailer alone, I think, showcases even moments that you may not have even seen sort of in the movies, kind of getting some attention and detail here. So I agree with you, Indy. I think it looks amazing. But yeah, let us know your thoughts. Let's see here. And then last but not least, Toxic Avenger is back in the news this week because they did have the Toxic Avenger air at a movie festival. I think it was called Fantastic Fest out in Austin sometime this week. And it's getting first reaction praises along with some brand new images that have in fact been revealed to us by Entertainment Weekly. Let me go through some of these photos while I read some of the reactions. First reactions are praising the film for being bonkers and super gory. And for those of you who are wondering, no, this is not the Penguin. This is Elijah Wood. Okay, they did a great makeup job on him.
I'm not gonna lie, I did not recognize him at all.
Also, Kevin Bacon is in this movie.
Kevin Bacon is really starting to look like the dad from Shameless.
He kind of is.
Oh my god, I can see it
in this failed photo. Yeah, he kind of is. So a couple comments here. Let's look at some of the reactions. So far, Phil Noble Jr. on Twitter says, if 1987 Paul Verhoeven made a trauma movie instead of RoboCop, you might get something like The Toxic Avenger. I loved it. Collider's own Perry Nemiroff, she says, Toxic Avenger is bonkers and a bloody delight, a wild concept brought back to life by a team of people who understand exactly what they're making and don't hold back, the kind of movie that functions as a hugely enjoyable and very rowdy escape. So I thought that was pretty interesting. Is this Gizmodo? Yeah, Gizmodo. The new Toxic Avenger is a blast. I got the same over the top hyper energy and tone of the original movie, but with more gore, disgustingly beautiful makeup and heart, a whole lot of heart. Peter Dinklage rules. Bacon as the baddie is hilarious. It's just totally irreverent and fun. So yeah, some pretty good reactions so far for the Toxic Avenger. I'm not exactly sure when the movie itself drops, but people are definitely getting a first look at it. Let me see if there's any info on when it drops, though. Do you guys have a release date for it at all? I don't really know. You probably look it up real quick.
He types faster than me.
I was kind of surprised that they were getting a first reaction so soon.
It says 2023. Well, what is the date?
Okay. Says September. So okay, but it's referring to like the Fantastic Fest release.
Okay.
Yeah, initial release September 21st, but it doesn't have a theatrical release yet. It says.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So we'll definitely keep you guys. We'll definitely keep you guys posted as we go through. But yeah, I think that will do it probably for honorable mentions today. All right, guys. With that out of the way, I guess we should get into some main topics today. You guys ready to dive into this?
Always.
Awesome. And remember, guys, if you're in the live chat, do us a favor. If you haven't hit that like button, please go ahead and do so to support the channel. Doesn't cost you anything. Takes 1 second, but it definitely does go a long way. All right, guys, let's go ahead and get into this main topic today. And we're going to kick off with some DCU news. I found it pretty interesting here this week that the writer of the Man of Steel, David Goyer, came out and let us know a little bit more about what was going on behind the scenes when it comes to Warner Brothers and Zack Snyder and really the building of the DCEU when they first initially started. I don't think this is going to be the last time that you hear of David Goyer's name in today's episode. We might bring him up a little bit later as well. But I found it kind of fascinating to hear what David Goyer certainly had to say, because it kind of makes me feel like almost the DCEU was almost set up to fail before it kind of even began, right? Like we've talked about here before about what's gone wrong with the DCEU. Like what is that moment in time in which a lot of people thought maybe it jumped off its rails or made a really bad decision and then they just kind of went downhill from there. Regardless, some people probably enjoyed a couple of the DCEU movies for sure, but it definitely did not reach the levels that I think a lot of us were certainly hoping for. And so I thought David Goyer this week gave some really interesting insight, guys, into maybe exactly what went wrong. And let's go ahead and dive into it. I really don't think this is going to surprise a lot of people, but I thought it would make for some really great discussion topics today. So this is coming to us from Variety.com. Letting us know that when it comes to David Goyer, says Man of Steel writer says it was crazy how Warner Brothers and DC tried to build their own MCU. Reveals David Fincher's 2-hour Blade meeting as well. So let's go ahead and dive into this. So yeah, it looks like the Happy, Sad, Confused podcast had the opportunity to sit down with the Man of Steel writer David Goyer. And he agreed that Warner Brothers should have developed a standalone Superman sequel instead of attempting to mount a cinematic universe with Batman versus Superman: Dawn of Justice. The studio did so in order to compete with Marvel. So already giving us the idea that they were really rushing this before they kind of even started. So let's really get into this further. He says, I know the pressure we were getting from Warner Brothers, which was, we need our MCU. We need our MCU. And I was like, let's not run before we walk. The other thing that was difficult at the time was that there was this revolving door of executives at Warner Brothers and DC. Every 18 months, someone new would come in. We were just getting whiplash. Every new person was like, we're going to go bigger. And he says, I remember at one point, the person running Warner Brothers at the time had this release that pitched the next 20 movies over the next 10 years, but none of them had even been written yet. Goyer continued in amazement. He says, it was crazy how much architecture was being built on air. This is not how you build a house. And he even said he worked closely with Christopher Nolan on the Dark Knight trilogy, and the two conceived of a Superman movie that will become what Zack Snyder's Man of Steel went on to become. Goyer wrote the film, but Cavill never got a chance to lead another standalone superhero movie as a remainder of his time in the Crimson Cape, except for building tentpoles such as Batman versus Superman. So yeah, man. Pretty eye-opening stuff here. Does this catch any of you guys by surprise? Look, it's one of those things that when he says it was a revolving door, I'm thinking to myself, like, it's still a revolving door, bro. Like, it just stopped being a revolving door. David Zaslav, now that he's the owner of Warner Brothers Discovery, he's assigned two CEOs, co-CEOs, if you will, James Gunn and Peter Safran, to be co-CEOs of DC Studios. I'm hoping that we get some regularity with these two and allow them to tell the stories that they certainly need to tell before they get swapped out once again. But it's always clearly been a revolving door for Warner Brothers. So Stuart, what do you take from some of this? The idea that they were trying to build up 20 movies in 10 years without even fleshing out sort of this world and universe that they were trying to build, really in an attempt to just simply catch up to the MCU at that point.
Yeah, none of this surprises me at all. I think that I agree with everything the writer of Man of Steel said. They were trying to, build a house on air, and unfortunately, you can't structure, a whole cinematic universe that way. I think, like with Marvel, even though it's a misconception that Marvel had the entire first phase planned when they started with Iron Man. That's not accurate at all. They actually kept readjusting their plans like as they went, but regardless, they still had somewhat of a roadmap of where they wanted to go. So basically, that's something that DC never had. It was just kind of they were writing as they went. And while Zack Snyder definitely had a vision, had a story beginning, middle, and end, it didn't clash with what the executives, or it didn't mix with what the executives wanted. More than anything, it clashed with it. So hearing that, on top of this, there was a revolving door of executives at the time. I didn't know that, but that doesn't surprise me at all. It honestly just kind of makes sense when I look back at a lot of the weird, decisions that were made, especially in the beginning of the DCEU. I do think that the main thing, too, that he says that I really agree with is they should have done a Man of Steel 2 before starting a whole cinematic universe right after one Superman movie. The biggest thing is that, yeah, you had some Easter eggs in Man of Steel, like the Wayne Enterprise satellite. But besides that, there was nothing really in there to suggest it being part of a bigger, universe, right? It just, as far as we as an audience knew, because cinematic universes were very new at the time. Marvel was the only one doing like the big cinematic universe. As far as we knew, Man of Steel was a solo universe. And then suddenly to have a sequel where suddenly, like, not only is Batman in it, but you also got Wonder Woman. You also have, this flash drive that contains footage of Cyborg, the Flash, and Aquaman. I think Dawn of Justice was like the big thing of studios trying to put way too much in one movie, and trying to do way too much way too fast too, by having a Justice League sequel only a couple years after that.
Yeah, and also when we look back on it, I mean, there was even Doomsday in the freaking movie.
Yeah, Doomsday.
We even had Doomsday in the movie, and I'm like, are we doing the death of Superman already? Like,
yeah, they killed Superman off in the second movie before we really got to, before he, like, this is the big argument everyone brings up, is that he was never like a fully developed Superman until Justice League. So it's weird for them to have killed him off before he became that fully evolved Superman. The whole thing is that, when Superman dies in the comic books, he's at his peak. He's, the Superman. Not to mention the whole thing about Doomsday is that it's a fight that Superman had to do on his own, despite the fact that the Justice League were there. And that's something you didn't get to see in the movie. I would have loved to have seen like the Justice League trying to help, but only being in the way. I also would have loved to see the Justice League at Superman's funeral, things like that. But you can't do this stuff when you rush it, and that's the big problem. I don't think, like, I can't say this under oath because I've never talked to Zack Snyder, but if I had to guess, I would honestly be willing to bet that that Batman versus Superman wasn't meant to have Doomsday in it, wasn't meant to have all those other superheroes in it. I bet you it was just meant to be Lex Luthor and Batman in it. In terms of big characters, I feel like they were the only two that were meant to be in it, and all these other things that happened in the movie were studio decisions. I can't say that for sure, but judging by this article, everything that he's saying about how you have all these studio executives trying to pitch ideas for movies that haven't even been written, it kind of makes me strongly believe that theory to be true.
Yeah, it does. I think if anything, this does kind of make me curious, like, I don't want to say what were Zack Snyder's original plans, but I want to know, did he have plans on doing them? I know he had plans on doing a Man of Steel sequel, but I wonder if he had plans to do it earlier and then Warner Brothers steps in and is like, no, we need something bigger and more monumental sort of thing. And maybe that's why they pushed off a Superman sequel. But they, as we've said before, they've constantly gotten in their own way. But Indy, let me throw this over to you. You hear some of what the Man of Steel writer is saying, maybe a little bit too many cooks in the kitchen, a revolving door of executives always wanting to go bigger and bigger. And you get the emphasis that they're really pushing to just get themselves onto the same playing field as the MCU. We need our MCU. We need our MCU. What are your thoughts in regards to how this came together?
That they were caught off guard. They were caught off guard with the success of some C-list heroes. Because let's be honest, Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, Flash, Aquaman. Well, let's not say Aquaman, but you know what I'm saying? A tier, right? Those are A tier heroes. Iron Man, Thor, Hawkeye, Black Widow. Those are C tier heroes. And I can understand the thinking of, if they can go bananas with a C tier, when we throw our first tier together, you know what I'm saying, it's going to be monstrous. But I think people put money before the situation, and they're thinking about cashing in and not understanding the 10 years it took to build the MCU to what it was, and then wanting to just go, oh, because these are the heroes we're using. And I can almost guarantee this is their exact thinking, because we're using these heroes who are some of the most popular heroes ever, definitely better than the heroes they're using. This should be a breeze. We shouldn't have to wait 10 years to do it. And they found out they were wrong. Because when it comes to the MCU, as we're seeing right now with the issues we're having, the storytelling, the actors and actresses that they picked for the characters are the reason why that worked. You know what I'm saying? So if you don't have the story there, and I 110% agree, and I know you agree with this too, it should have been a Superman 2 before a Justice League movie. There should have been. There's no way that you do Justice League with the way you do it, and then Superman isn't there half the movie. It makes no sense at all. You know what I'm saying? Well, I kind of understand you can't have a nuclear bomb at the beginning of the movie, because then that just kills what you're going to do for the movie. You know what I'm saying? But I just feel like the story arc could have been so much more complex and so much more well written. As she's caught up in my cord, so much more well written. What if you introduce red kryptonite, or you introduce, you know what I'm saying, something else, and you have to compromise Superman instead of just having him fake dead or asleep, you know what I'm saying, for 3/4 of the movie. And maybe he is also opposing you or wants nothing to do with you in the same manner, you know what I'm saying, or what's going on. And you have to get him to be able to be on your side in order to win this fight. It makes so much more sense than the way that they did it. But I feel like we missed a lot of character development with Henry Cavill and the character, which the first movie was amazing. Where they were going with it was good, but they started us like in the middle of a Superman career. We really never got to learn the character. It was just, here he is, this is what he's do, just go. Like, what was the backlash from all that happened in Man of Steel? You know what I'm saying? How was the world really feeling about him? How was the government really feeling about him? It was so much more story to be told, and they were just like, nope, here's Justice League. We'll put Batman in it, so you'll be okay with it. Batman can't save everything, people.
Okay, so you said something that actually I think is kind of interesting. You mentioned the fact that these were big A tier heroes compared to Marvel, which had a bunch of C tier heroes at the time. They had to build a whole cinematic universe around them. So I wonder if if it all comes down to studio executives thought they didn't have to try because they just thought the name brand would be enough. and it's something that I'm kind of like looking back on, and I'm like, that might be the main case. I feel like the reason studio executives didn't like want to build up a universe is because they didn't think they had to. They figured, unlike Marvel, we have characters that everyone already knows, so we don't need to introduce them. And I think that might have been like one of their biggest like errors.
Yeah, and I'm kind of curious too if it's a case of, they saw the success of the MCU and just automatically assumed, like, hey, if we do comic book movies, we're going to have that same level of success automatically, right? Because of the fact that we've got these great sort of characters. Yeah, it's just really unfortunate to kind of see it. And it goes back to me, like for me, it goes back to the idea of like executives thinking that they know how to make movies, like, I mean, I get the idea that they financially they could probably get the money and produce it and yada yada yada, but it's like when you start trying to put your fingers into creative, I think that's really where we go wrong. Again, that goes back to just like studios, um you know messing around with some of the directors and the writing team and things like that. I mean, we heard horror stories from like Age of Ultron, right? Like Marvel Studios and them trying to really put a ton of stuff in something like Age of Ultron, and it just unfortunately didn't work. So again, this definitely feels like too many cooks in the kitchen, and very, like you mentioned, Indy, the idea of being very desperate to have a success on their hands and really just worrying about the bottom line and a dollar that comes along with it. I mean, don't get me wrong, financially, this movie, both movies did relatively well. Man of Steel, I think over 500 or 600 million dollars. You get into Superman versus Batman, that movie makes over $700 million worldwide. So you are on a right trajectory, but immediately after that, Justice League just kind of took everything sort of backwards. But no, I would agree with David Goyer here, because I think if there's anything that fans have been asked for is like we really needed more development over Superman. I think people really wanted to see him grow as a character and fall into that truth, justice, and the American way sort of mentality. One that I think a lot of us understood Zack Snyder eventually wanted to get to that point. Clearly, they had some story beats that they wanted to certainly tackle first. But just again, the idea of not pulling the trigger on a Superman 2, wanting to go bigger and better when you really haven't established anything. And at the end of the day, not only did you sacrifice your cinematic universe, but then you also sacrificed the utilage of Henry Cavill, and we never got the opportunity to see him again in any other way, and that's losing yet another moneymaker. Because a sequel would have probably done better than the first Man of Steel, and unfortunately, we just never got that opportunity. So I agree. Look, I feel like when it comes to Batman versus Superman, like I feel like I'm the only person on this panel that actually enjoyed the movie. I'm definitely not. I'm definitely not singing its praises. I'm a much bigger fan of the Batman versus Superman extended cut. For me, it personally makes the movie feel a little bit more watchable, a little bit more connected, and not as disjointed. But I would agree. I mean, I think the idea of introducing us to a Batman, introducing us to a Wonder Woman, giving us a huge doomsday battle, it just kind of all felt very rushed, and a mentality of we just need to catch up to the MCU. The idea of establishing and building anything. And unfortunately, it was to the company's detriment. And I don't think, unfortunately, they never recovered. So I think this is a perfect example that David Goyer gives us of too many cooks in the kitchen and executives thinking that they know how to actually make a cinematic universe, while at the same time going above and beyond the actual creators. And it definitely kicked their ass here in this sense, man.
Definitely. All they had to do was make Smallville 2. The movie adult Clark Kent and his exploration into the world and everything he was going to do as he became Superman, and they'd have been cool.
I'm sorry, go ahead, Indy, finish.
No, and I just feel that they feel, and I still feel like they feel this way. Their characters are so big that they're able to just put them in and people will just draw to them. I mean, because think about it. Matt Reeves' Batman. I mean, it was Batman. So we were going to go see the movie. You know what I'm saying? Regardless of who was playing the character, there's people who hated Robert Pattinson, but still went and saw the movie because it was Batman. The thing I think they're missing out on when it comes to that is if you look at Marvel, their characters are relatable to the everyday man in some, in some right or fashion. And I feel like the only character that you have that you can do that with is Superman, because he's trying his best to live a normal life, but you know what I'm saying, can't be normal because he's not from this world, you know. And I really feel like they missed the human interaction, you know what I'm saying, to tie us to these characters, because they're thinking superhero, superhero, superhero. And over at Marvel, I think they think humanity first. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's why people relate so much more to the Marvel movies, because they get, somebody can see their self, like something they're going through, in every single character in a Marvel movie or TV show, by that matter.
It's why, like, I think my favorite Superman adaptation is the CW show Superman and Lois, because, you know, while you have all the really cool upscale huge superhero fights every now and then, what the show really focuses on is like the human aspect of Superman and his family, and it just makes all the characters in the show feel like real people and people that you really connect with. And I think that, like, they definitely try to do that with Man of Steel, but then I kind of feel like we got to a point, maybe it was like Justice League, where suddenly, like, you know, any attempt there was to like make these characters feel real or relatable just like went out the window. Suicide Squad was like another like one that had that same issue. Like they felt like personalities, but they didn't feel like people. They didn't feel like characters for the most part.
And I'm kind of hoping that's what James Gunn kind of corrects for us, course corrects. I mean, you know, you did bring up Batman and the idea that, like, look, we make a Batman movie, people are going to come out and see it. To Matt Reeves' benefit, though, he did a great job with the storytelling in regards to really giving us a great vision of Batman, which is why I think that movie not only made so much, but I think it does great over on streaming as well. People probably still hold that up there as one of the best Batman movies, aside from A Dark Knight for some people, you know. So I do think in certain aspects of the DCU, you know, after, you know, we've had years of failure, I definitely do think that they understood the idea of at least some sort of character importance and storytelling importance. And I think when you see that, you definitely get that when it comes to the Batman. And I think James Gunn even understands that same exact mindset as well. I mean, you look at his movies, Guardians of the Galaxy, even his first Suicide Squad movie, mostly Guardians of the Galaxy. There's definitely a lot of emotion and great character work and great character arcs, and really making them feel more like characters and actual people than anything else. And so I do think he's going to bring that same level of energy to this new DCEU. And I think David Zaslav and Peter Safran definitely trust him enough to course correct and bring things back full circle. And if anything, I mean, you just listen to some of James Gunn's interviews. He understands the importance of story and character. And I think that's exactly what we're going to get back to. Let me see some quick comments here. Frankie, he says he's right in my opinion, and Man of Steel 2 should have been made, and too late. Fandom is mad, but no HC, and throwing shade at David Cornsweat, maddening the talent wasted. Yeah, it is maddening that they wasted the talent of Henry Cavill. But again, this isn't really on David Cornsweat at all.
Not just Henry Cavill. That entire cast in that Man of Steel movie was casted well. They wasted that entire cast. It's just that we look at Henry Cavill because he was Superman. They had a good Lois Lane.
I was not a fan of Lois Lane. I did not care.
Of course you weren't. Of course you weren't.
Well, what's that supposed to be? I didn't care for her. I'm very much more excited to see Rachel Brosnahan. I just think there's more personality there. She was just, this Lois Lane was a little bit too dry for me. Why Arc? What's up, Why Arc? He says I would love to see a Superman that holds back. And Marcelino does mention, he says, you know, with James Gunn has described with his Superman he plans to write, I think you might get your wish. And I agree. I do think there's going to be a level of that truth, justice, and the American way. And look, the only thing I ask James Gunn is, like, when we get into this movie, I don't know why, I just picture the opening scene of Superman Legacy being Superman saving lives. I want to see a big epic rescue on the part of Superman Returns when he saves the airplane from crashing. I thought that was like the best moment of the movie, and heck, maybe one of the better moments of any Superman movie that we've gotten, and just seeing his heroism. And I want to see Superman's heroism right out of the gate, since he already lives in an established world full of superheroes. You give me a great opening sequence like that, and then introduce me to some characters in the story, I'm there for it. But I agree with you, Arc. I do think that we will get a Superman that maybe knows better this time around.
And just don't waste Zod twice.
Oh God, do you think we're gonna get Zod again?
No, I'm just saying if we do, don't waste him again twice. I mean, he was good in Man of Steel. I like the father character, but then I felt like it was a waste because you killed him in the end of, you know what I'm saying, in the end of the movie, which was a good character development for Superman. You know what I'm saying? But still, I feel like it was a waste of the character of Zod. And then you turn around and waste him in the Flash movie.
Oh my God, majorly waste him in the Flash movie.
Well, I don't know if he was meant to have a huge role or as impactful of a role as he was. But then again, what was the guy that plays him? Something Shannon?
Michael Shannon, I think.
Michael Shannon. Yeah, he even said it's like they're just playing with action figures at this
point.
That's what it felt like. And Daniel, what's up, Daniel? He says, who would you prefer as a villain for the Batman Part 2? I wouldn't mind Clayface as my villain. I'm still holding out for a Clayface at some point in time. I don't know how you do that in the world that he's established. But that, or maybe even like a Hugo Strange from Arkham, I think it'd be cool.
Oh, dude, Hugo Strange in that Batman universe would be terrifying.
I'm sorry, I want Poison Ivy.
Hey, that'd be kind of cool. I would dig that too.
Why can't we have a good, prominent, strong female villain? You know what I'm saying? That's going against the man, and have Batman have to have conflict that, you know what I'm saying, he has to beat the crap out of a woman. You know what I'm saying? Like, or maybe we live in a world where we can't do that right now. And that's the reason they haven't pulled the trigger.
Yeah, maybe not.
I mean, as long as you establish that, you know, she is evil and she will kill more people if she isn't stopped, I'm pretty sure audiences
probably get
offended.
Or maybe get away with a punch or something.
Or maybe because he can't do his normal thing of punchy. You know what I'm saying? He has to find another way. You know what I'm saying? Another way to bring her down. Like, it makes him think harder because he can't just punchy when he find out she's a woman.
See, now I'm just like picturing that scene from Godzilla Final Wars where like you have the really badass sergeant like kicking at so much ass that he's like going up against this one female alien. She's like, "You wouldn't hit a woman, would you?" And she's like, his fist is clenched, and he's like, "Yeah."
I do want to bring this up. Nathan, he does go on to even say you can see that type of Superman in My Adventures with Superman.
Facts.
Yes.
Facts. That is really, really good.
What elements from that series would you like to see maybe brought into a Superman movie?
Just live action, the whole entire series.
Live action.
Yeah, the show is definitely meant for animation, and it works really well that way. But yeah, no, like what he brings up, the whole thing of Superman really goes out of his way to save people, even to his own like detriment. Because there's the episode where he first gets super hearing, and he loves the fact at first like that he can help people all the time because he always knows when people are in distress. But then it becomes a problem because he gets no sleep. He ends up screwing up a lot, and then it causes people not to trust him as much. So I like how it shows there's even a consequence to like constantly doing the right thing. There's things like that I would love to see them tackle in the Superman movie.
Believe it or not, I have not had the opportunity to finish watching that series. I think I've made it through like the first 2 episodes. I do want to go back and finish it off. The series is wrapped up, right, for season 1?
It did. I think you'll really enjoy it.
I think I will too. I was a big fan of the first 2 episodes, and I have been meaning to go back. So I do want to finish it off. If anything, go ahead, Indy. What were you gonna say?
I said, you know who do Superman better than Superman?
Who?
Invincible.
That's a good one. Yeah, that's a great series. If you guys haven't checked out Invincible, it's on Amazon Prime, and I think they're getting ready for the 2nd season this year as well. If anything, I will say to go ahead and wrap up this topic for the day. You know, now that we are transitioning into the DCEU, I honestly hope that they have taken the lessons and certainly learned from them as to what has happened in the past. We're in a really interesting spot right now when it comes to comic book movies. That trajectory is just kind of going downward. Maybe not for all comic book movies, but definitely for the DCU. Like, people feel like they have been checked out, if you will. Even decently good movies that people have been talking highly about, critics have enjoyed, fans have enjoyed, people are just not going out to see them anymore. So they do have to redeem themselves. So what I would just simply say is like, look, when you drop your first movie, Superman Legacy, do not freak out if the box office is not what you asked for, right? Because Indy, you brought it up. Sometimes they just think we got these characters. It's just a moneymaker automatically. And yes, people are going to come out to see a Superman Legacy movie, but don't take that for granted. I think if you can build a great story, build a great universe, have some incredible characters, put out Superman Legacy, regardless of what the box office is, regardless of what a loud minority of people certainly might say online, keep your focus and build the universe and tell the stories that you want to tell. Because the moment you start doubting yourself, the moment you start putting too many chefs in the kitchen and people start freaking out, oh, Superman Legacy only made $500 million at the box office. We got to change course. No, because the course is terrible already. You got to stick to what you're trying to do and hopefully continue to see that box office continue to climb and climb and climb with each and every movie, and just tell the story that you want to tell. So I'm hoping that they stop being reactionary, stop trying to go too big too soon. You tried to do that once, it was a failure. Please don't repeat yourself. Okay, so I am hoping that we've learned our lesson here if we're DCU right now.
This is one of those rare moments where I really hope someone from Warner Brothers is listening.
Because it's just one. Because look, I'm. How much do you think Man of Steel or not Man of Steel, Superman Legacy might make? Realistically, do you think? Because I could tell you right now, I feel like executives probably think this movie is going to be $1 billion, and it's just like, no, you have to remove that sort of mindset. I'm under the impression, like, if I had to bet, I would say anywhere between 650 to give me $650 million for Superman Legacy. Some people will probably see that as a failure, but when you have not been able to capture the attention or the imagination of anybody to come out to the theaters, the idea of rebooting and making a movie that will get you $600+ million, you got to take that as a win, man. You have to.
I think it'll do slightly less than Man of Steel.
Let's see, what was Man of Steel's box? Man of Steel.
If you want to make a lot of money, have him
$68 million.
Have him disrespect. What is her name? Singer. Can't remember her name. I just blanked. She's dating Travis Kelce right now.
Taylor Swift?
Yeah. Have him disrespect Taylor Swift in some way without knowing he's disrespecting her, and it'll make $1 billion.
Oh God, no. We'll lose the Swifties, man. The Swifties won't come and see this movie.
The Swifties aren't going to see it.
Yeah, they're probably not coming to see
Superman movie.
Nathan's got a great point. He says, as well as keep it away from streaming as long as you can. Make people come see it, not watch it at home. And look, it's Superman, right? It should be a big epic theatrical experience. I want you to rent out IMAX for like 3 to 4 months straight, okay, to make that money. And hopefully, because the turnaround time these days, I mean, if you want to see a movie and you don't see it within the first 2 weeks, there's a chance it may not be in theaters for much longer after that. So I totally agree with you, Nathan. Keep the movie in the movies as long as you can. Build up that anticipation level for it to eventually come out into streaming. Marcelino, real quick side note, says Indy's cruelty ends today. Taylor Swift was the last straw. All right,
he would be a Swiftie.
I can tell you this: probably by the end of next month, I will hate Taylor Swift. Not for any good reason, but simply for the fact that we have her concert movie coming to the Draft House, and oh boy, I'm not looking forward to working.
People are moving out of the way for that movie. So
I could tell you right now that Kansas City Chiefs fans hate Taylor Swift because they know that Travis Kelce's finna suck this season as long as they're together.
I got Travis Kelce in my fantasy football team, so please, Taylor, leave him alone. All right, guys. But look, at the end of the day, we want to know your thoughts. These are just our A+ opinions. We want to know yours. You hear these words from David Goyer, the idea that we had too many cooks in the kitchen. We need bigger. We need our MCU trying to plan 20 movies in 10 years when they haven't even established the cinematic universe. Do you think they shot themselves in the foot before they even got started? Let us know your thoughts in the comment section box below. And with that, we'll continue our conversations with you guys in the comment section box as well. But with that out of the way, let's go ahead and change course, shall we? Let's go ahead and move on to some I don't want to say MCU, but some Sony / Marvel Studios, as Venom is in the news this week as we continue to look ever so closely at the upcoming Venom 3 movie. Look, I've said this a bajillion times. You guys know how I feel about the Venom movies. It's going to take a lot to certainly get me excited for a Venom 3. But I'm going to be honest with you, Stuart, this tease that we got this week is not doing it for me in regards to getting me hyped for what Venom 3 could certainly potentially be. Look, I want movies to succeed. I don't think that filmmakers and actors and the cast and crew go into a film thinking we should make a shit show today, guys. I don't think they have that mentality at all. I think they clearly want to try and make as good of a movie as they can. And sometimes it's just that difficult, guys. And for me, the first 2 Venom films haven't lived up to the potential that I think they certainly should have. So it does beg the question, will Venom 3 be any different? And look, you guys might be big fans of the Venom franchise. If you are a big fan of the franchise, more props to you. I'm glad that you guys are certainly enjoying it. I'm not trying to yuck on your yum, but I need more from Venom. And we did get ourselves a little bit of a tease this week. This actually comes to us from the Illuminati. And we'll see if there's anything to this, but this comes from the Illuminati. It says Venom 3 tease has fans speculating about a Tom Hardy versus Topher Grace multiverse fight. If you don't get out of here with this multiverse stuff again, I swear. But we are back on this again. Interesting tease, but let's go ahead and dive down. It says Sony
already face palming from that idea.
Yes. Sony Pictures posts a Venom versus Venom TikTok video that leads fans speculating of a possible multiverse connection in Venom 3. Actually, you know what? Before I share this, let me go ahead and bring. No, I'm gonna bring it back up. I wanted to make sure I have the audio playing for this. It says Venom 3 is set to release in theaters next July, and it looks like Sony posted and quickly deleted. Mind you, they posted it and then quickly deleted a video featuring a familiar face. Sony Pictures uses UK's TikTok account, posted a 30-second video of Tom Hardy's Venom and Topher Grace Venom fight. As quickly as it was posted, the studio quickly removed it from their account. Luckily, a user saved and shared it and reposted it. Should we have a glimpse at this one? Let me see if I can bring this up here. Can I actually go to the source itself? Yes. Okay.
Yes.
Yes.
All the toys. Yes.
Wait, let me share this one with you guys. Check out this tease. Again, it was posted and then removed. All right. Here we go.
Yeah, I know all about you.
I'll be right with you.
What the hell? What are you doing?
You come in here again, and we will find you, and then we will eat your face right off your head. Do you understand?
Look.
Okay, I wouldn't mind.
He should have ate him. He should have ate him.
Okay, not gonna lie. As long as the whole movie isn't Venom versus Venom, if that's the scene, I wouldn't mind. I wouldn't mind the Topher Grace Eddie Brock cameo if that's all we got. Nothing against Topher Grace. I just, he's a good actor when he's in the right role. I loved him in, of course, That 70s Show and in Predators. But man, he was a terrible Eddie Brock. But I also will say that the script didn't do him any favors also, so it wasn't entirely his fault. But yeah, no, I would not want him to, or just for one, yes, I also agree with you, Adam. The multiverse is kind of overdone, especially now with Marvel. But yeah, I just think having a movie revolve around 2 Venoms from 2 different universes, especially when one of those universes should theoretically be completely different to how we last saw it because of the changes made from No Way Home. Just to me, it doesn't seem too appealing.
What about you, Indy? Would you be down for a Venom 3 where it's Tom Hardy's Venom against Topher Grace's Venom?
Mm-mm.
No, you don't want to. You don't want to dive into it. He's like, no, please, just don't give it to me.
It makes no sense to me. If this was something that was going to happen, it's something that should happen in Venom 2, because I don't see any way in the world that our real Venom. Yes, I said our real Venom because Topher Grace's Venom was not our real Venom. I don't know what the hell that was supposed to be. He should not be afraid of this Venom. You literally just fought Carnage. You know what I'm saying? Like, remember the whole thing? Oh my God, it's one of the red ones. You know what I'm saying? I'll let you eat somebody. Oh, let's go. You know, like it makes no sense for him to even have any type of difficulty with Topher Grace's Venom. Like, though that 70s jokes will ensue and him being frail and weak, you know what I'm saying, will be hilarious, you know, being made fun of by our Venom symbiote. I don't see the movie being in any which way entertaining with that being a main villain. It has to be another catalyst. It has to be a huge catalyst behind it. Like, and when I say huge, I'm talking about it has to be Dr. Doom being bored and deciding to, you know what I'm saying, mess with the multiverse or something like that, just because he has nothing else to do type of ish. It can't, or at the end of the movie, you see the Watcher pop up like, oh, that's not going to work. It has to be something big to make this work. Other than that, leave it alone. Write a good movie. I mean, we could have had Maximum Carnage and you screwed that up. I mean, I'm done with Sony in general. I'm done with anything that Sony does that isn't Marvel, but that Marvel doesn't have their hands in. If Disney's not helping you, I don't want you to do it.
Look, you're preaching to the choir, man. I'm definitely there as well. If Marvel ain't helping you out, I don't want to see it. And it's my thing is like, look, we I'm glad to see you coming around, Stuart, in a sense of being done with the multiverse stuff. Because I maybe I got like 2 or 3 multiverse movies left in me, but like that's it. And this ain't one of them. You had your opportunity with doing the multiverse with Venom, and you just screwed it up. You literally threw him into another universe for no good reason, with the exception of, oh, we just need this little piece of symbiote to stay behind, and then we're gonna throw you back into your particular universe. I mean, who knows? Maybe he didn't go back to his universe. Maybe he went back to Sam Raimi's universe, and maybe that's how this winds up happening, where he bumps into the Topher Grace version. Who knows? But you had your opportunity. You didn't do anything with it. We wanted to see Tom Holland versus Venom, Tom Hardy's Venom. You didn't give us that either. So I'm not expecting that you're going to make the idea of a multiverse fight between this Venom and another crappy Venom that much better. So we got crappy Venom against crappy Venom. That's going to make a crappy movie. And I just, unfortunately, I don't
Please,
need it in my life.
please don't make this movie Venom trying to get home to his universe. Like, ends up in the wrong universe, and it's just a Venom lost from home type thing. Please don't do that. Please don't make him a friggin'
Is
universe
it a Venom
hopper.
3 No Way Home? Is that what that's going to be titled?
Because they did show you that the symbiote is multiversal. That it knows everything that's going on in all multiverses because it has connection with all of the symbiotes. You know what I'm saying? If this is going to be the last Venom movie, which I hope it is, there's a symbiote guide that you could start rolling into that needs, you know what I'm saying, to be the Venom. So if the only way I can go with having Topher Grace in there, if it's Null, you know what I'm saying, is sending these other symbiotes after Venom because he's out of place, or you know what I'm saying, he's broken or something like that. That I can get behind, which means that it's gonna be a very short cameo for Topher Grace. But I can get behind something like that, and then Null being the big villain and probably setting up something bigger. But other than that, bro, I can't do this again. I struggled through Venom too.
The concept you put out there sounds amazing. I just don't trust Sony to pull it off and execute it properly. Like the same thing with Madam Web. Like the Madam Web, the concept sounds awesome. I'm actually, my build up and anticipation for that movie, as much as I've been trying to beat myself up and say, no, don't get excited for this, Adam. There's a part of me that is getting a little bit eager for Madam Web. But again, it comes back to cool concept, but can you execute it? And for me, unfortunately, Sony has just not been able to do so. Marcelino says, regardless of how you feel about Venom films, at least the community is divided on the comedy. Some people like it, some don't, but at least there's a division. That division doesn't exist for Morbius. Yeah, more people just want to forget about Morbius. And you're right. That's why I said, if you're a big fans of the Venom films, more props to you. Like, I want you guys to enjoy movies. I'm just expressing how these particular movies have made me feel. And it's just made me look at Sony Pictures as a very mediocre production company, at least when it comes to how they've handled some of these characters. And I definitely want to see more. So hopefully they can pull something off. But the question I would have, guys, is they post this and then they remove it. Why?
One of two reasons. One, they don't want to spoil the fact that Topher Grace will have a cameo in it, or two, Topher Grace is not in the movie at all, and they think that keeping that post up would be considered like false advertising. It could also just be the fact that, like, you know, even though Spider-Man 3 is old, it's still a Sony property, so they don't want one of their other properties making another property look bad.
That you might be onto something there. That could just be like, hey, this Venom was so rotten, it's gonna spoil our Venom franchise. So maybe this wasn't that good of an idea. But Indy, do you think this has something to do with Venom 3? Do you think that this is kind of a tease and a buildup? Or do you think, because my thing is like, you don't just sit here and edit something like that together without intention, and then you post it and then delete it. So it's got to mean something, right?
Well, this could have happened in the UK. They could have been working from home. This has happened to me before, where I made something I didn't want to go up. I just made something for my own personal entertainment because I want to know what it looked like, maybe to share with my friends. Hey, let's laugh at this. What if this happened? Type thing. I'm gonna put it to somebody that works for Sony. Their cat walked across their keyboard and accidentally posted it to the Instagram, and I'm gonna leave it at that because I see no other reason at all to post something like this, especially unless the reason why they can't, well, it's in the UK. Well, no, can they post it? Like, if it's something, what if it was looked at as promoting the movie and they can't do that during the strike, and that's the reason why they had to take it down?
Possibility too. It could be a strike thing. You might be onto something there.
So it could have been looked at something as comical, but because it was posted by Sony Pictures, you know what I'm saying, Instagram, it had to come down because it could be looked at as promotion.
Yeah, you might be. I'm hoping that's the reason, but we'll see if there's any bigger connection at this point. Like I said, I am kind of over the multiversal movies. I maybe have 2 or 3 left in me, like that last Into the Spider-Verse movie, and then maybe like some Secret Wars stuff. But outside of that, nah, I'm good. I'm good. So we'll see, guys. What did you guys think, though, of the Venom 3 tease? Look, I mean, it is kind of cool to kind of see whoever edited it was a pretty cool edit. It was fun to certainly watch, to say the least. But it's doesn't get my hype up for Venom 3, unfortunately. But let me know your guys' thoughts. What do you think? Do you think we will see a Topher Grace and Venom 3, and that's why they quickly removed it? Let us know your thoughts in the comment section box below. We got some great comments from people today, man. We had some really great interactions.
Hey, they going in. Like the comments are popping today.
Yeah, we appreciate you guys having a live discussion with us. Let's get into our next topic. We went through DC. We went through Sony / Marvel. Let's get into my favorite franchise, and that is Star Wars, baby. We're fresh off of episode 6, Ahsoka, which if you guys did not get the opportunity to check out, it was late, but I did go ahead and drop my episode 6 review of Ahsoka early this morning for you guys. Check it out whenever you get the chance. But we're 2 episodes away from Ahsoka wrapping up. And then we also have a couple of films to certainly look forward to. The James Mangold Star Wars film, which is supposed to be the dawn of the Jedi time. We've got the Dave Filoni Star Wars movie that's probably going to be wrapping up maybe this Mandoverse era, if you will. And then we've got the Rey Skywalker sequel film that's supposed to be dropping as well. But believe it or not, this past week, we got a revelation that I don't know if I even knew. This kind of came out of nowhere, but apparently Lucasfilm had approached Guillermo Del Toro to do a Star Wars movie. Unfortunately, I don't think it's ever going to see the light of day. I think that project has been canceled. This, I think, is something that happened about 4 years ago. We'll definitely dive into it. But I wanted to pick your guys' brain on the idea of Guillermo del Toro doing a Star Wars film, because it's one of those things where it's like, this man has gone on to win Oscars for, was it that water movie that he wind up doing? I don't remember what the name of it. Do you remember, Stuart?
Shape of Water.
The Shape of Water. It's one of those things. It's like when you've got a great director in your fold, you gotta hold on to them, man. And I feel like this is certainly a missed opportunity, especially with the imagination that Del Toro brings. But let's get down into it and see what is being said here, because I believe Guillermo himself actually confirms this. This comes to us from Star Wars Newsnet. .com, StarWarsNewsNet.com, that says Guillermo Del Toro confirms he worked on a Jabba the Hutt Star Wars movie written by David Goyer. Again, we told you David Goyer's name might pop up again here. Who was also developing a Dawn of the Jedi script. And when you think of Del Toro, you probably think of creatures. And so the fact that it might have been a Jabba the Hutt movie, look, I don't know where that movie goes, what story needs to be told there. But if it's Del Toro, I'll probably watch. So let's go ahead and dive into this a little bit more. It says rumblings that Del Toro working on Star Wars has been around for literally a decade, which I honestly didn't know about. Most of them based on truths. It says the filmmaker got a phone call about episode 7 right after Disney acquired Lucasfilm. And though he turned it down, he said he was in conversations with top executives at Lucasfilm, publicly discussing his idea for a Jabba the Hutt movie, Godfather style. Well, it seems like the idea was more than just a couple of conversations over drinks. Again, the Man of Steel and the Dark Knight writer David Goyer sat down for an interview to promote Apple's Foundation series. And he talked about his collaboration with Lucasfilm extending beyond virtual reality. He says apparently Goyer wrote a full script for a Star Wars movie that Del Toro was going to direct, in a scriptment, which is a middle step between a treatment and a full script, for an Origins of the Jedi movie that sounds a lot like James Gold's announced film. So let's dive into this a little bit here. He says, I wrote an unproduced Star Wars movie that Del Toro was going to direct. That was about 4 years ago. And then I also have a scriptment for an Origins of the Jedi movie, also for the Star Wars, that took place 25,000 years before the first Star Wars film. Del Toro caught the Twitter post with the snippet of the interview and replied saying, true, can't say much, maybe just 2 letters, J and BB. Is that 3 letters, he says, when pressed about what went down that terminated the project. He says there was just a lot of behind the scenes stuff going on at Lucasfilm at the time, but it's a cool script. You should ask Del Toro about it next time you have him on. It's a cool script. There's a lot of cool artwork from it that was produced. And this is Del Toro's confirmation tweet here. He says, true, can't say much, maybe just 2 letters, J and BB. At first I was like, is this BB-8 movie? But no, it's definitely not a BB-8 movie. He was definitely looking to do Jabba the Hutt sort of as a Godfather film, which I find really, really interesting. So let's talk about this, y'all. Stuart, I'll let you go first here. Missed opportunity. Clearly they approached him to maybe even do Force Awakens, which I think would have been incredible. The fact that he turns that down, but he's like, look, I got a Jabba the Hutt story that I certainly want to tell you. Clearly there was a lot of moving pieces going on at Lucasfilm at that time, probably trying to figure out what the hell they want to do with Star Wars, because we saw how that trilogy certainly turned out. What do you think that this would have been like, man? Would you have been down for a Jabba the Hutt Godfather style Del Toro film?
Anything by Del Toro I am down for. So even if this was a bad pitch, I would still be down for it. But I actually do like this direction that he's taking with that he had in mind for Jabba the Hutt, because this actually fits very well in, not just with what George Lucas was going for when he designed Jabba the Hutt, but also what we see more of with Jabba the Hutt in Star Wars: The Clone Wars. Clearly his design is very much inspired by The Godfather, and then also just kind of like a lot of his overall I don't know how to say it without making it seem like I'm insulting the Godfather actor. I'm not, but just his overall appearance, is very similar. But not only that, but in the Clone Wars, just the way you get into the whole the Hutt family, when you see all the other versions of the Hutts and you see the way they run their own crime organizations, it's literally The Godfather, but with space slugs instead of people. So you could easily pull something like this off in the Star Wars universe. If they wanted to do a Jabba the Hutt movie, it could take place at any timeline. You wouldn't have to worry about that, and you could just make a really fun gangster movie, but in the Star Wars universe. I think that actually could have been perfect. And then on top of that, having a national treasure like Guillermo del Toro directing it would always be a win. Again, even if this pitch was bad, I would still say yes to him and give him a blank check. You're muted.
No, I totally agree with you. If Del Toro says, "Hey, I want to make a movie for you," let the man make a movie. People will come out and see him. He's so incredibly talented. I'm such a big fan of his, and I really would have loved to have seen it. I mean, God, maybe if we had gotten a Jabba the Hutt movie, maybe it would have saved us from even visiting a Book of Boba Fett type of mentality. Maybe Solo would have turned out a little bit different. The idea of really focusing on the gangsters and sort of that underground world. I am kind of curious if there's even still room for a Jabba the Hutt movie anywhere down. Like at this point in time, though, when it comes to Star Wars movies, I do kind of want to get out of that era that we've kind of already been in for such a long time, like the original trilogy era. I kind of would like to move on from that. So when like Star Wars and Lucasfilm announces something like, hey, we're going to go to the Dawn of the Jedi era, and now we're doing stuff after the original trilogy, and then we've got something planned for after the sequel trilogy, that's kind of what I'm excited about. I think they've done a great job of building up that original trilogy era, right? With you got Rebels in there, you got Rogue One in there, you got your trilogy movies in there. I think we got a couple of projects that have really built out that time period significantly enough. So I maybe don't necessarily want to go back to a Jabba the Hutt movie, but again, if it's Del Toro telling you he's got a movie idea, listen to the man, because I do think that he would have been able to pull this off directing wise. Now, granted, I don't know if David Goyer was writing the script here, so whether or not Del Toro had any hands in regards to what the story was going to be like, that I don't know. But this does fascinate me, and I only say I'm curious if there's a Jabba the Hutt movie still in mind, because Kathleen Kennedy said, just because we haven't announced it doesn't necessarily mean that it's canceled or it's officially gone. But I think just based off of David Goyer mentioning it, I don't even necessarily know if it was a full script, but kind of an in between the treatment and final script sort of thing. So I don't think this is ever going to happen, but it would have been pretty cool to see honestly.
Yeah, fully agree with you on that.
But yeah, man, I'm gonna have to see how this goes. And if anything, I am fascinated too when it comes to David Goyer. The idea of him mentioning that his Dawn of the Jedi movie, him creating a film that we're now gonna get as far as James Mangold's movie. It is an interesting sort of placement that they were going to go before, right? 25,000 years into the past. Now I believe Dawn of the Jedi is like 1,000, maybe. No, maybe it's long. Maybe it's further along than that, because they still are leaving room for the Knights of the Old Republic, I believe. So I'm kind of curious as to when the Dawn of the Jedi movie for James Mangold is going to be. Do they have any information on that, Stuart? Do you know?
Let me double check on that,
Like,
because I remember when we were talking about it last, I think it was supposed to come out in December of like 2025 or 2026, but I feel like with the writer's strike, it probably got pushed back.
And I'm kind of under the impression that actually might be the first movie out of the gate. I do believe it's probably the idea of give us that James Mangold movie, begin, teasing us about the beginnings of the Jedi, and then maybe the second film then that's released being the Rey Skywalker movie. So then maybe you can build off of what the Dawn of the Jedi established, and maybe even some teachings from that movie, and then going into the sequel after the sequel trilogy film.
Okay, so as of now, it is still planned, but I feel like this is probably going to change when the year comes. But it is still currently planned for December of 2025.
Does it say the time period in which the movie takes place though, like the era? Like how many years before the prequels? I can't remember what they said off the top of my head, but I just think this is look, I will say this. I'm not gonna get on Lucasfilm's ass too much for letting this be a missed opportunity. I mean, I probably should, but I do think when you look back at 4 years ago and just the building of just the just the building of this sequel trilogy, just how dysfunctional it certainly was. The idea that they clearly didn't plan this out step by step. You would think that you would have sort of an outline of your first three movies kind of planned and sort of stick to that plan, but clearly not. Definitely giving maybe a little bit too many freedoms, if you will, to the creatives to just do whatever they certainly want to. And it feels like they probably had no handle in regards to the direction in which they wanted to take Star Wars. So the idea of like a Del Toro saying, look, I want to do a Jabba the Hutt movie. Yeah, go ahead. You can go ahead and create something for us if you want to, but then maybe taking a step back and looking at what you've created in regards to the sequel trilogy, maybe thinking, we don't really have a place for this right now. We're getting our ass kicked from some of these critic scores and the way that people are talking. Maybe we should go a different route, because leave it up to Lucasfilm, especially during that time period, to bring people on board only to release them or replace them, sort of thing. So this definitely took place during a very chaotic time period. But I would be curious if at some point in time Del Toro would ever be open to coming back and doing a Star Wars film. If anything, even if he didn't come back, Stuart, Del Toro, I think his career is just fascinating to me in the sense that he is now a director of two movies that I am highly anticipating and will never get the opportunity to see. Him tackling a Star Wars Jabba the Hutt movie and the Justice League Dark film that we've heard for years that he was supposed to direct. And we're never going to get the opportunity to see any of those at the light of day. So two highly anticipated films that people have turned Del Toro down on. And that honestly just baffles me to no end, Stuart. I guess it's maybe just bad timing,
I hope that James Gunn decides to go back to the Justice League Dark idea and use Del Toro to direct it, or at least, like, if they want to make it a series, be the showrunner.
Oh, that would be cool. I am curious how he feels about doing television series. I don't know if he's ever done a television series before. He feels like he's very much a theater sort of cinematic guy.
He did last year, I think it was, there was this anthology kind of like Twilight Zone type series that he
Yes,
did, but it was all
cabinets of something.
Yeah, but
Uh-huh.
I think if I'm not mistaken, he was the main producer of that series.
Yeah, I think he was an executive producer. I don't know if he maybe he did direct and write maybe one of the episodes. I can't recall off the top of my head, but me and the girlfriend were watching some of them. I don't think we finished the series, but it is on Netflix. I think the Cabinet of Curiosities, I believe is what it might be called. But yeah, if you're into anthologies, if you're into just weird creative stories and stuff, if you're a fan of Del Toro, that might be something that you guys certainly might be interested in. But yeah, man, I hope he gets the opportunity to revisit now that he's got an Oscar on his mantle and he's been highly recognized. I hope he decides to go ahead and tackle some franchises, even though that may not necessarily be his cup of tea. But let us know your guys' thoughts in the comment section box below. Would you like to have seen a Del Toro Star Wars movie? Let us know your thoughts.
Also, okay, so I assume Dawn of the Jedi would have to take place at least like over 1,000 years before, because we have it taking place obviously before the Old Republic, which is now like an era in the canon timeline, and the Old Republic takes place 1,000 years in the past. So I would assume because of how well established the Jedi Order is in the Old Republic era, they had to have been around for at least 1,000 years or so. So I'm assuming Dawn of the Jedi will probably be somewhere between 5,000 to 2,000 years in the past.
Yeah, I think 5,000 sounds like I feel like that might be something that I've read somewhere, or like you said, 2,000. So I might be one of those. But regardless, look, I do think big things are coming from Lucasfilm. I know we've got a strike right now, and hopefully that certainly gets resolved. But hopefully they'll be able to get in front of cameras before we know it, because I do think that these three movies from Lucasfilm will at least actually be made. So I'm keeping my fingers crossed there. All right, guys.
Please.
Marcelino says maybe when Dawn of the Jedi finally gets off the ground, Lucasfilm can ask Del Toro to direct. Well, I think James Mangold is probably going to direct that Dawn of the Jedi movie, but I would not mind the idea of Del Toro coming back and doing something.
Ooh, So something that just came to my mind, one last thing I want to bring up about why I think he would have been perfect for a Jabba movie. So he knows how to do really creepy atmospheric like environments when it comes to filming. And when it came to the opening of Return of the Jedi, I know everyone likes to think of the cute Ewoks at the very end of the movie, and no one really thinks of Return of the Jedi as being a terrifying film. No, when I was a kid, Jabba's palace scared the crap out of me. All right. So I would love to see that palace be recreated by Guillermo del Toro. I think he would do an excellent job of that.
I mean, I totally agree with you. I do think like just the aesthetics and just the setup that he would have of Jabba's palace would be incredible. Especially seeing his a design of his Rancor and things like that. I would love to see what he creates there. And look, let's not act like the Ewoks are so peaceful and innocent, okay? Like they're cannibals, all right? They eat people for breakfast. I mean, they literally were playing the drums on helmets of stormtroopers and other enemies that they've probably devoured, and they roast humans over a fire, all right?
Well,
So
that's not cannibalism. That's just they eat people, but they don't eat each other. So
I guess
wouldn't
that's
call
true.
them
You're
cannibals.
right. They're maybe not
They're
cannibals,
carnivores.
but they're carnivores, and they've got some sharp ass teeth. So the stormtroopers didn't stand a chance, bro. But
Oh, yeah.
but yeah, guys, let us know your thoughts on the idea of a Guillermo Del Toro Star Wars movie. Even though we didn't get one of Jabba the Hutt in a Godfather style, would you have liked to have seen it? Would you have liked to have seen him tackle something else? Let us know your comments down below. And with that, guys, we will move on to some more
I might
movie
have
talk. What you got?
This is unrelated to anything, but I might have to do this at some point. Now that the original 87 Ninja Turtles is on Paramount Plus, I might have to binge it at some point.
Yeah, check it out. And I don't know if TMNT Mutant Mayhem has dropped on streaming
It
yet.
has.
So if you haven't had the opportunity to check out Mutant Mayhem in theaters, but you want a good animated film to check out, I highly recommend Mutant Mayhem. I don't think you guys will be disappointed at all.
It was a lot of fun.
It was a lot of fun. All right, guys, getting into our next topic. The Hunger Games is almost here, baby. We got the Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes actually dropped a brand new trailer like yesterday or maybe like 2 or 3 days ago. I think when I went ahead and looked at it again this morning, I think it was like 40 million views or something ridiculous. Like people are going to come out for this. There is a hunger. Pun intended, I guess, for Hunger Games at this point. And we've kind of teased it a little bit here and there, Stuart, kind of talking about it, especially when Empire Magazine has done several different articles about it. But let's go ahead and talk about this particular trailer that we wind up getting here. If you ask me, I think this was the most riveting trailer that we've had. Not to say that the other ones were bad, but talk about action packed, really getting us into the glimpse of what some of these games might look like. But for me, Stuart, I think the takeaway here is I love the focus on Snow. I love the focus on Rachel Ziegler's character and Gray. And if anything, just their connection with each other. This girl is about to wreck this man's life. Him falling in love with this girl is gonna change this man's life forever. I mean, you can even hear, I think it's even the last line of this trailer of the older Snow talking about how love can really like just crush somebody. And I think we're gonna get great moments like that here in this movie. But you've had the opportunity to check out the trailer. I think you have. What did you think of it?
I totally forgot to watch the new trailer before going on, but I am looking at the trailer as of now. And yeah, everything I'm seeing, I'm liking. And yeah, I do think you bring up a good point. I think that one way they could actually completely turn around our perspective on Snow as a character is if we see like hints of redemption, like within him, if we see hints that, maybe he didn't have to grow up to be like the really terrible person that we see in the Hunger Games movies. But then this woman is the one that, like, whether or not it's because he broke his heart, or whether or not it's because she broke his heart, or she just was really good at manipulating him, like she did way too good of a job. I would love to see if that's like what ends up like kind of making him go down that path that we see in the Hunger Games sequels, that it all happened because of a really bad relationship.
I mean, and it's one of those things where it's like, I don't know if that, like for me, when I look at the trailer, You talk about manipulation, and while I definitely do think Rachel Zegler's character, was it Lucy Gray, I believe her name is. Well, I do think it's going to have a huge impact on him. I don't think she's going to be the only form. And again, I don't even know if it's her manipulating him to kind of get what she wants, sort of thing, or like just playing up the idea that maybe he cares about her a lot and is using him to get what she needs, sort of thing. But like, I don't even think it's going to come from just her. Like, when I look
Mhm.
at this trailer, I do see like a charismatic kid who's probably got all the money in the world, maybe being kind of pulled in different directions all film. Maybe has his own sort of moral compass, but then you've got the people of the Hunger Games and putting this production together that's talking into his ear, having him do these things where it's pulling against his moral compass. And yet on the other side, he's got this very attractive woman that he's clearly falling down the rabbit hole for. Maybe she's manipulating him a little bit, and he's doing everything he can to kind of save her. But then he gets that pushback again from the Hunger Games of like, what are we here to do? Like, are you trying to save her? Or are you trying to just have her survive? Like, what's the whole point of this sort of thing? So I do think Snow is going to find himself just stuck in the middle, with people kind of pulling him at both sides, and really just kind of ruining this man's sort of mind state at the end of it. But I think it looks stunning. And I think one of the takeaways from the trailer, while I know Viola Davis has an important role, I didn't know I didn't know how much screen time she was going to have. And she seems like she's going to be a very prominent figure in this movie throughout the entire thing in regards to really pulling the strings. She probably is where Cornelia Snow is in the later Hunger Games. That's probably what I would assume, if anything, that Viola Davis's character might be at this point.
Dang, this movie has Viola Davis and Peter Dinklage. I am definitely hooked. One thing I do want to clarify though is I didn't mean like she would be the reason, but
Uh-huh.
what I do think is that she will be like either the straw or the spark,
Mm.
like there will be all this gasoline that basically is that like Snow was going through, but I feel like she's going to be that like lit spark that basically it ignites it pretty much, ignites him into the character that we know in the Hunger Games movies.
And I think also checking out this trailer, there is something about, like, even though I know this is fictional, the
Mhm.
idea that this feels kind of like a period piece to me also. I've been really pleased with just the set designs, the aesthetics of this movie so far, keeping true to what the Hunger Games are, but clearly taking it back a few years for sure. And I really love just what the visuals and this world is really looking like. Like, I personally cannot wait to get back to this world. I think they've had some incredible set pieces that they've put together, and I think we're going to have some really epic moments on screen here. Marcelino says, I hope one thing I hope for is that the author Suzanne Collins starts making more prequel books focusing on other characters that throughout the era. Finnick, Haymitch, Joanna, the OG War deserves their own book, and I hope so too. I am kind of curious if this plans on being, like, I don't even know how many books Suzanne Collins has actually made for the Hunger Games, but I do think that people will come back out for this film, and I think there's going to be an appetite certainly for more prequels, for sure, from this universe. Because if this is successful, then yeah, I would totally be down to kind of seeing like who even came up with this concept. Is that maybe that's the OG War that he's referring to? But yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
I just hope it doesn't turn into the Fantastic Beasts series where with Fantastic Beasts, I thought the first movie was actually pretty excellent up until like the part where they kind of set up a sequel, just because I didn't think that was necessary. And then I still stand by this. I think the Fantastic Beasts sequel is one of the worst films I've ever seen in my life. I didn't even bother seeing the third movie because of it. It was that bad. So I hope that they don't do that with this franchise. I hope that they tell a good story, and if there's room for a sequel, go for it, but don't force a sequel when you really don't need one.
And I do wonder also if maybe because Snow is a character that all of us recognize and know from the Hunger Games, that might certainly help this prequel certainly out. But I think when I look at this compared to something like Harry Potter, or like the Fantastic Beast and things like that. I don't know. I just think there's probably a much better focus on characters and stories, and much bigger connective tissues from this movie into the trilogy compared to what Fantastic Beast was to the Harry Potter movies. But maybe that's an unfair comparison considering the fact that literally I've only seen one of those Fantastic Beast movies. I don't know how it fully ends or connects. But I believe that is who's the damn wizard? I was gonna say Gandalf, but it's not Gandalf. Again.
I totally forgot his name.
Why am I blanking on this? Dumbledore. Fucking A. It finally came back to me.
Oh, you mean Dumbledore. Oh, I thought you were talking
Yeah.
about the main character. Newt, that was his name. I think it was Newt, right?
Yeah, Newt.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think he's not in the Harry Potter movies at all. But so we'll see how it goes. But I will say this trailer, I'm sold already. I'm definitely going to be checking out Hunger Games: Ballad of the Songbirds and Snakes. I'm kind of curious to know if you guys have had the opportunity to check out the trailer. If not, please go ahead and certainly let us, or if you have, let us know your thoughts on the trailer. And if anything, Stuart, I think if there's any important sort of takeaway from this trailer, Viola Davis is going to crush it. So I'm definitely expecting her to deliver as always. But yeah, guys, let us know your thoughts.
Yeah, one thing the girlfriend and I are going to be doing at some point is we're going to be rewatching all the Hunger Games movies because something I just found out is neither one of us have seen any of the Hunger Games movies more than once. We've both seen all of them in theaters, but we've never seen them afterwards. Wow. So it'll be our first time like rewatching them all together.
I need to do that. I know my girlfriend rewatched them without me, and I was like, I'm going to go back and rewatch them because I haven't watched the last Hunger Game movie at all. I've seen the first one more times than I can count. Maybe the second one like 2 or 3 times, but it's been such a long time. The third one I've only seen once. So yeah, I might have to sit down and do like a 2, 3, and 4 sort of marathon and get kind of caught back up before this movie drops. But I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
All right, guys. And with that out of the way, we got 2 more topics for you. The next one is going to come out of left field a little bit. Look, if you guys are owner of the Netflix streaming service, there was a gem, a foreign movie gem that I stumbled upon sometime last year. We did do a review for this movie. It's called Troll. That's right. You heard me correctly. Troll. I kind of dug the concept of this. If you're big fans of big monster movies in the likes of like Godzilla, even King Kong, I thought this was definitely right up there. I was kind of even more impressed with some of the special effects that we wind up getting in here. I don't know how I stumbled upon this, but I'm so glad that Netflix featured this as like a recommendation because I checked it out and I had a lot of fun with it. And I wasn't quite sure if they were ever going to make a sequel, but believe it or not, we're going to be getting one, I believe. So let's go ahead and talk about this, Stuart. First off, did you ever get a chance to get around to watch Troll at all, or no? It didn't hit your radar?
No, unfortunately, never. I think you brought it up on the show that one time after you did the review, but I never got a chance to watch it.
Check it out again. If you are fans of monster movies like Godzilla and King Kong, this might be up your alley. This is, I believe, a Norwegian film. So, Netflix does have some very epic sort of international movies and series that can turn out to be really huge successes. But this comes from the direct empireonline.com, where it says the director Roar Uthog, is that his first name? Roar? That is a cool first name, Roar. The director is planning a sequel to the adventure action film Troll. It says, having seen success with last year's Rocky adventure Troll, Roar Uthog, the director of The Wave, is ready to bring the world another installment. Netflix has ordered a sequel to Troll. The original film chronicled the aftermath of an explosion in the Norwegian mountains, which awakens an ancient troll. The story revolves around a fearless paleontologist who embarks on a journey to stop the troll from wreaking deadly havoc. It says Troll quickly became Netflix's most popular non-English film of all time, with a record-breaking 103 million views in its first 90 days. Making Troll was a lifelong dream come true, and a reception And the reception our Norwegian movie has received around the world has been unbelievable. No plot details have been revealed for the movie other than it will explore similar fairy tale territory. So that's interesting. I do wonder if it's going to go back. Like reading that last part of going back to explore similar fairy tale territory, it makes me wonder, are there more trolls, like mountain trolls here, or are we going to go back to like Billy Goat Gruff and the troll under the bridge? Like, is there a bridge troll in this sequel that we got to worry about now? I am kind of curious. When you hear that, though, Stuart, is there anything that comes to mind, or do you think they will go back to the idea of there are more trolls in this mountain that have been awakened, or maybe more trolls in other mountains? I don't know. I know you didn't see the movie, but what did you think about just this article?
I'm kind of hoping it's the latter because that sounds more interesting. Different types of trolls, like in different types of environments. I love the idea of the bridge troll, but of course that does kind of make me think of that "It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia" episode with Frank as the troll. I don't want to use the lyrics from that song because I feel like we'll definitely get demonetized. But great episode though. If you guys haven't seen it, Charlie writes a play. But yeah, I do like when I love modern takes of like classic fairy tales. So this does seem like a movie that's right up my alley. So I definitely should check this out, and then I'll let you know what I think of the sequel. I actually think I have a clip from the upcoming sequel, even though it hasn't been filmed yet. Would you like me to share it?
Yeah, I would love to see it.
All right. Screen share. Here we go. Cool. Oh no, is the sound not on?
And then they're going to eat me. Oh my God!
That was from a movie called Troll 2, which is known for being like one of the worst movies ever made.
I love it. Oh my god!
When I saw like a sequel to a Troll movie, immediately I'm like, I gotta make this joke.
Oh, they're gonna eat me. No, I love it. I love it. So you've seen it here first, guys. Exclusive footage, Troll 2 on Netflix. But no, I'm looking forward to this, man. I really am. I think this would be pretty interesting. I would agree with you in the sense of like classic fairy tales, but modernizing them a little bit. Like when I saw the first Troll movie, and I hear sort of like the myth or the story that the father kind of tells to her daughter, I'm like, ooh, this sounds really, really appealing, and like what could really be born out of just that one simple concept. And so, yeah, I hope they go back to the well, and hopefully we'll get ourselves a successful Troll sequel. But yeah, guys, let us know your thoughts. Have you had the opportunity to see Troll? If you have, what are your thoughts? If you haven't, again, definitely recommended for you guys.
One movie about trolls that is probably one of the most bizarre films I have ever seen in my life. It's a movie called Border, and it's meant to, it's like kind of a more grounded. Grounded's not the right word to use for this movie. It's just the most bizarre film I have ever seen, and it's a movie I'm so glad I saw, but I never want to watch it again.
Oh, really?
It was a movie that our teacher played for us in my film appreciation class when I was at SRJC, and it was a movie that I'm like, okay, I'm glad I saw this movie. I'm glad to know this movie exists. I am never watching this film again.
Oh my god, mentally noted, man.
But if you ever want to watch a movie to challenge yourself, I guess, Border. Watch Border.
Border. Okay, yeah, put that down, guys. If you go ahead and put that on your list of movies to certainly check out. Let's see here. And then with that out of the way, guys, we will move on to our last topic. Stuart, I will ask you while I tee this up, if you can see if there's been any updates on this story anywhere, either on Twitter or maybe like comingsoon.net or even comicbook.com. Because listen, guys, we are still in the midst of WGA strike. SAG-AFTRA is still on a strike. Good news is, though, they have been having negotiations this week. some big negotiations that we're going to be talking about here with you guys. And a lot of things are pointing in the upward direction, Stuart. Now, whether or not this is sort of propaganda from news outlets like Variety, Deadline, Hollywood Reporter, because they tend to really push the messages of the studios and the streaming services and want to make you think that things are all fine and dandy sort of thing. Nothing to see here, nothing to see here. Talks are certainly still continuing, even though we do have ourselves some updates, to the point to where a lot of people are saying, look, we might actually be done with this strike this weekend. I know I've been hearing some people already online that are like, the strike is over, the strike is over. Let's pump our brakes just a little bit here and dive into the latest updates that we have. So we're going to go ahead and get you guys updated on what's truly going on behind the scenes with this strike. So Stuart, let's tee this up here. This comes to us from the Hollywood Reporter. This came to us back on September 20th. So 4 days ago, Hollywood Reporter was letting us know that studio CEOs plan on attending the Writers Guild bargaining session, which this is huge. I mean, for the most part, they've been having like AMPTP do their negotiations for them. I guess there's a part of me that believes maybe they haven't been as hands-on, maybe telling AMPT what they want, and then they go back and yada, yada, yada. But the studio CEOs were, in fact, in attendance this time. So they clearly are taking this very seriously at this point, even though they've probably have lost billions of dollars already. It says, confirming the feeling of urgency taking hold around the town to resolve the historic and ongoing writer strike. A group of top CEOs attended Wednesday's bargaining session. It says we had Disney CEO Bob Iger, the guy that put his foot in his mouth a couple months ago. Warner Brothers Discovery CEO David Zaslav was there. Netflix CEO Ted Sarandos and NBC Universal Studio Group Chairman Donna Langley were all present at the meeting that began on Thursday. It's highly unusual for the industry bargaining representative, the AMPTP, to include CEOs directly in the bargaining sessions, which are usually led on the studio and streaming side by labor relations representatives and top AMPTP staffers. But the industry-wide crisis resulting from the ongoing writers and actor strikes have pushed company leaders to become more directly involved in the talk. So they're talking to the heads of these companies. One studio side source of knowledge of Wednesday's negotiation says CEOs have cleared their calendars and want to sit and have real conversation. This person added that the WGA submitted a list of issues in order of importance from thorniest to least thorny to the studio side prior to the meeting. This is so long in coming. Everyone's feeling the pain. Let's get in there and nail things down. The meeting concluded in the late afternoon with talks set to resume again on Thursday with all 4 CEOs present, according to this sources. It also says one other source says the company leaders pre-gamed the negotiation in the Zoom prior to Wednesday's bargaining session. They feel the smaller group, the more meaningful it will be, and they want to get in a room and sort of figure it all out. So yeah, I think this is a big move, Stuart. What do you think here? Like, what do you think that this means for the studio CEOs? Like, I personally look, I'm happy that they're at the table, but I'm not about to give them any brownie points for them doing what they should have done months ago. And now are only doing this because they are feeling kind of the pain and a ton of people calling them out, sort of thing. So I'm glad that they're finally at the table, but I'm not about to pat them on the back for something they should have done a while ago. But this is the step in the right direction. What do you think about this move, though, Stuart?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. It's a step in the right direction, but I don't think they deserve, points for that because it's something that should have been done a while ago. It's kind of like the saying, you're not sorry that you did it, you're sorry that you got caught, kind of
Yes.
There's one of two things that you can look at with this. It's either one, studios finally giving in and finally deciding that, okay, we are actually going to be in the same room as them and listen to what they have to say, so we can actually take the next several steps forward and finally ending this thing. But something that a lot of people have been theorizing online, and I'm not saying that I agree one side or another. I don't know the mind of studio CEOs. So I don't know what their overall goal is, what their overall trying to gain from this. But what people are trying to say is that the studio CEOs are trying to make it seem like they are ready to make a deal at any time. They are the ones who are willing to give the writers what they want, but the writers are the ones not ending the strike. And I think, and what people on the internet have been saying is that basically the CEOs want us on the internet. They want us to pressure the writers to ending the strike and not the CEOs. That's what people have been theorizing. For me personally, I don't have an opinion one way or another because again, I don't know the mind of these CEO executives, but I do think it is good that they are finally actually in the same room as these writers listening, because it's one thing to hear from a distance that, oh man, these writers are having a hard time feeding their families, things like that, paying rent, all the basic stuff. It's one thing when you hear it, it's become so much easier to ignore if you're just hearing it through conversation. But when you're in the same room as someone, to me, I don't think it really matters how terrible of a person you are. It's so much harder to ignore it when you're like hearing someone giving you their story about why it's so hard for them to like I said, feed their family or pay rent. Suddenly it becomes a whole nother thing when you're actually listening it from the person themselves. So I hope that in them being there and listening to these writers, talk about what they want from this strike and why they want it, I hope this will kind of open up their hearts, maybe like the Grinch, their tiny hearts will go 3 times their size or something like that.
No, I totally agree with you. I hope that's what it certainly comes down to. And let's go ahead and give you another update, because that was given.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, I actually found a article on CNN. Basically, it's titled Hollywood. This was an hour ago, and it's Hollywood studios put the best and final. So they're saying that this is their final negotiation deal. They're not going to be going any higher after this deal forward. WGA strike nears an ending.
Yeah, let me. You said that was an hour ago?
Yeah, it was an hour ago.
Let me. I'm going to post this article also. This was from yesterday, but it kind of says the same thing, similar to that. So it does make me wonder, like, what has actually changed since yesterday to today. But this is from Variety. This was yesterday on the 23rd. WGA and AMPT to meet Sunday after Guild presented with best and final offer. This is an update. It says the AMPTP and WGA are set to meet again after 4 consecutive days of negotiations. I think, first off, 4 days in a row, that's a plus, that they're actually talking. Designed to secure a new 3-year contract and bring a nearly 5-month writer's strike to an end. That's crazy. It says industry sources reported that on Saturday afternoon that a best and final offer was sent to the WGA negotiations around 5 p.m. Legal representatives for labor and management huddled Saturday in person at the AMPT headquarters. One key players on both sides monitored events closely, but from far away. Shortly before 8 p.m., WGA and AMPT issued a joint statement that they're met for a bargaining on Sunday and will meet on Saturday and will meet again on Sunday. So they are expected to meet today. Whether or not they have already, we'll see. It says the AMPT's move to make the last best and final offer to the WGA is meant to signal to the Guild that the companies will not negotiate or engage in further negotiations on terms of the contract in any significant way. It's a common process in collective bargaining negotiations. The WGA is expected to give AMPT a yay or nay on Sunday, which indicates that management may have to put a time limit on getting a response. However, the joint statement may also be an effort to take the temperature down. But multiple accounts, the WGA is poised to achieve significant new compensation and benefit gains. With the pressure brought to bear by the work stoppage, the Guild appears to have forced the studios to address each of its major priorities going into what both sides knew would be tough contract cycle. It says Saturday's focus was finalizing the fine print of language for complicated and cutting edge contract issues. The stakes in this negotiation have been unusually high and reflective of the pace of change across the broader media and entertainment industry. Guild negotiators have grappled with how to regulate the use of AI and other groundbreaking elements for the WGA's minimum basic agreement. The nitty gritty details of the term around the AI proposal has been one of the final hurdles to overcome. It's mainly down to language now. So we'll see. Listen, anytime anybody tells me last and best and final offer, look, if WGA says no, then you know what? There better be another offer. Okay. So you can push this best and final offer all you want to, like, hey, we gave it our best. We can't give up any more money. I'm sorry. No, I'm not, I'm not gonna sit here and just take that shit. Like the WGA, granted, listen, I think good negotiation, Stuart, comes down when both parties don't get all of what they want, right? Like it's an idea of compromise. Where were you guys able to meet at in the middle? Are the WGA benefiting? Because my thing is like, look, I don't think the WGA is going to get everything that they wanted to, but I hope that they at least get a majority of what they certainly asked for. But I hope it is one of those things that even though the AMPT is like, this is our best and final offer, I will be interested to kind of see how the WGA react to it. If this best and final offer is the studios trying to push out to get people to believe, hey, we've been working really hard these past 4 days to give them what they want. And if the WGA is like, nah, we don't want this, they're going to be like, see, they're the problem. We gave them a great offer and deal and they didn't want to take it, sort of thing. So until we actually see the deal and then until WGA actually mentions what was in the contract and things like that, I'm still going to have this as very much a wait and see, because it does come down to the language. And if some of the things are written in there a certain particular type of way, because again, this is just a 3-year contract. Where are we going to be in 3 years? You have to be very forward looking with these contracts that will really sort of create a foundation going forward, so that hopefully in the 3 years they can be like, yeah, we still dig this contract. Let's do it another 3 years, sort of thing. And they can just mosey on along, make minor changes, if you will. But this is very much a huge shift in how we are doing our writing and our acting when it comes to media. So you hear this, Stuart, them clearly knocking things out, negotiating over the past 4 days. There clearly has been positive movement. Whether or not they sign on the dotted line and they agree to it is another thing. What do you think about this, hearing them about giving their best and final offer this time around?
I think it's a huge miscalculation for them to like announce it as their final offer, because if things don't go right, if the writers aren't happy about what this offer is going to be, what studios executives completely miscalculated is that people are smart. They're going to look at the fact that they were the ones who said final offer. They were the ones dumb enough to say that you're not willing to negotiate any further, and that's why the strike is going to keep going on if they decide not to agree with this contract. We don't know what the contract is yet, so maybe it is something really good. Maybe it is something in the middle, like a lot of negotiations tend to be. But only time will tell. I'm pretty sure one actor and writer that tends to be very specific and keep it very simplified about like what it is that the writers and actors want and what it is that the studios are offering is Adam Conover from the show Adam Ruins Everything. He's very active on his YouTube channel. He'll post like a bunch of shorts every now and then. So I do think that he might be the best source like after the day's over, after the contracts are negotiated. So if it goes through, he'll probably give an update of what the what everyone gained from this new contract, or if it falls through, he'll probably give a good detailed description as to why it didn't go through and what it was that that the actors and writers never got from the contract that they were hoping to gain at the very least. So yeah, really bad miscalculation on the studio's part to like advertise it as their final offer. but we'll have to wait and see how it goes. I really do hope for the best. I really hope this is one that, makes both sides happy, and we can look forward to, more great content as fans. But we'll have to wait and see. Also, lastly, I do want to point out that sign. I do absolutely love that sign being used. Now I am become the WGA destroyer of corporate greed. I love that Oppenheimer reference. So great on them. But yeah, those are my thoughts. I really hope everything works out. And I think, again, it was really dumb of them for them to say straight up that this is their final offer. I think that's a really terrible idea. Oh, you're muted.
Yeah, I agree with you. My thing is like one of the reasons why, and if you look at our Facebook page, I haven't really been posting a lot of WGA and AMPT strike stuff lately, is because of the fact that I do feel like a lot of the studios are just utilizing these as propaganda machines in regards to really pushing sort of their own narrative from time to time. And it is one of those things where, like, for me, it feels more like noise than actual getting down to the nitty gritty of these negotiations sort of thing. So we haven't really been posting much about it, but the fact that the CEOs actually sat down with them and have been doing negotiations for the past 4 days feels very epic and very serious to me, which is why we're talking about it again now, because it does feel like there is some movement here. So a lot of work has been going into the last 4 days. I don't want to take that away from the WGA or the AMPTP, but the idea again of utilizing corporate media to push the idea of best and final offer. Just don't say anything. Just don't say anything. Let the negotiations continue behind the scenes. You talk things out because you don't want to upset the WGA. The WGA doesn't want to upset the studio CEOs at this point. Like, if you guys are on great speaking terms and you're getting things done, just don't say anything until the deal is done. And so, again, people can say all day long, they've been talking for 4 days. It's coming down to the language. They got their lawyers involved. Yay, the strike is done. The strike is no, the strike is not done yet. It is Sunday. People are still picketing. And until the WGA has confirmed that, hey, we love this contract, the contract works for us and our writers, the strike is off, that is when you will hear us say, all right, the strike is final. So I am hoping that everything looks good on these final contracts, that both sides are certainly happy with it, and hopefully the writers certainly get what they deserve for all their incredible work, because at the end of the day, those CEOs sitting on top of their pile of gold coins and money would not have any of that if it wasn't for the writers and the actors. So pay your actors. And we'll definitely keep you guys posted in regards to what this best and final offer might have been like. But definitely follow us on our Facebook page if you haven't done so yet. We'll definitely keep you guys posted on the Facebook page and our Twitter handle as well with any updates for this today. Because again, they're either meeting today or they're going to be going over the final negotiations. And again, if they have their lawyers doing all this, I'm sure they're probably going to be looking over it as well. So we might have an announcement as early as this evening, but we'll definitely keep you guys posted.
I kept pressing refresh on Google because I was hoping that there would be an article that would pop up that said writer strike finally over, right as you said it's not over yet. That would have been probably one of the funniest things to happen live, but unfortunately that didn't happen. But one last thing I do just kind of want to comment about just the strike and then just, kind of just the state of things in general when it comes to just the working class is that I saw this Bill Burr thing that he did. I think it was for a podcast when he mentioned this. So basically how when he was a kid, and this is very similar to something that my mother told me, is that when my mom was a kid, her dad, my grandfather was working a minimum wage job, right? With that minimum wage job, my grandmother didn't have to have a job. She was able to be a stay-at-home mother, and the two of them were able to raise 2 kids, and that was on minimum wage. And Bill Burr says the same thing. When he was a kid, everyone working a minimum wage job could afford to feed their families and all that things, right? That was called the middle class. And now that's gone. You can't possibly do that anymore. I get paid more than minimum wage, and I still have to, split rent between two other roommates, because if I don't, I won't be able to afford rent pretty much. And that's kind of what a lot of the writers are trying to fight for, is that, some writers, yes, they do get paid a lot. They get paid very handsomely, and they're able to live just fine. But there are some writers that are getting paid so little, they might as well be getting paid less than minimum wage. And so as someone getting paid more than a minimum wage, struggling to pay rent every month, not struggling, sorry, that's the wrong word, but still, having
Like
to
paycheck to paycheck.
yeah, exactly. Living paycheck to paycheck. I can only imagine how terrible it would be as a writer, especially when your paychecks aren't coming in consistently. You have to, hope that you have a job next year, because it all depends on whether or not your show gets renewed, or if you're writing for a movie, you have to hope that like you get chosen to work on a film, or that your script gets picked up. It's scary enough living without job security. So now imagine living without job security and then getting paid less than the minimum wage on top of that. So that's the big thing that I think that most of these writers are fighting for. And I think they deserve to have, security, for just being able to live,
Yeah, I mean, look, I mean, we have a minimum wage, but it's definitely not a living wage anymore at all. And on top of that, I think some people nowadays, I guess those that are against a strike look at a job like writing for movies or maybe even acting in movies as like a gig, and then it used to be a career. It used to be, if you can land a writing job, if you can land an acting job, it would be a career for you, especially based off of the residuals that you would get. And now streaming and things like that have really turned this into a gig economy, where it's like you got to go from job to job. Sometimes after you complete a job, you can't have another job for like 3 months, right? And then when you're not making the residuals to help you get to your healthcare sort of thing, it's really unfortunate, man. It's really unfortunate. And I know a lot of people, when they think of Hollywood, they think of like the 1%, the 10% that are like, these huge stars that don't have to worry about anything. But, when you're part of that 87% of writers that make below $26,000, you and I make more money than they do, Stuart. And writing should be a profession. Writing should be a career for some of these people. And unfortunately, they don't get that opportunity to do so. So again, I never feel bad. Cry me a river, studios and streaming services, when you make billions of dollars. And it's one of those things where it's like, when you're willing to lose more money than it takes to actually take care of your workers, that is just gross and disgusting. Because listen, I don't mind capitalism. I don't mind the idea of like, if you have an idea, if you want to go ahead and make as much money as you possibly can off of that, do yourselves a favor, man. Make as much money as you can, right? I'm not telling you can't, but pay your fair share. Pay your workers. And nobody would have a problem with how much money you make, as long as you're paying it forward and paying it back to the people that helped got you there. And so it's just really disgusting for me when I just see all these people making all this money, and then they want to plead, oh, we're going to go bankrupt. We can't make this type of money. Well, you know what? Maybe you need to change your plan and the way that you do business. Because I do think that these companies would be more than fine, and they shouldn't allow the workers to have to struggle for the idiot decisions that they've made in the past, and now have to change the modeling of how people view television or go to the movies, sort of thing. Like that burden should not be put on the workers. And so I really do hope that at the end of the day, that these people are just paid fairly for what they do. And again, it's not even just Hollywood, but this is a summer of labor. The UAW, the big auto workers, going on strike right now, right? We're just in a time period right now where greed is overwhelming, and we're losing the middle class of workers. When people have to work paycheck to paycheck, or you're going to college and you're getting up a huge student debt, and you come out of college expecting that you're going to have a wage to live off of, and you got to still live with your parents for years to come because you can't afford just a 1-bedroom apartment or a place of your own. There is something wrong here. So I hope that these WGA workers strike, writers get their money, man. So we'll definitely keep you guys posted though. But yeah, man, it's a summer of labor. So most definitely.
There's this one like Australian businessman that just straight up sounded like a supervillain. Sounded exactly like something Lex Luthor would have said, where he's just like, yeah, people who want better wages all deserve to like basically lose their homes. They should appreciate the fact that we're offering them jobs, or it was something along those lines. I didn't word it exactly how he said it, but it basically, if you read like the actual quote, it's not that far off, and it straight up seems like a line that a supervillain in a comic book would say.
Yeah, I heard somebody say, like, workers need to remember that they work for us, that it's not the other way around. And I'm like, I mean, I get it. I mean, I get that we work for you, but I don't mean you gotta treat us like shit and not give us enough money to live off of. Like, what are you talking about, man? So, and again, that's what that's what unions are for, I guess, to give the power back to the workers to get their fair share. So I think it's really important, guys. So we'll let you know, though, if we have any further development or movement on the WGA strike. We'll definitely keep you posted. But it feels like we're almost there, man. And then we got to deal with the SAG strike, right? We also got to deal with the workers, with the actors as well. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, we'll keep you guys posted. But let us know your thoughts on how the strike is going down below. And I think, Stuart, with that out of the way, I think it's time to get into our next segment.
And now, everybody, it is time for live viewer questions.
Do you miss saying that live, Stuart?
Not in particular, as long as we get to, still hear it. I will say that I think it would sound a little bit better if we could add like some soft music in the background.
Okay. Maybe I'll do that. Speaking of soft music, we will get some soft music playing today. Let me too loud, y'all. But let's go ahead. We're gonna get into some live viewer questions. If you want to submit a live viewer question, you can certainly do so anytime. Usually towards the end of the week, like Friday or Saturday, I'll probably go ahead and post a live viewer question post on our channel. Just go over to our YouTube page, as you see here, click on that community tab, and there will be a live viewer questions post. As you see right here, we got ourselves 7 questions to get through today. Any questions that we don't get through, we will go ahead and put in its own individual video, but I think we might be able to knock some of these out. So let's tackle this. This comes from Marcelino Vasquez. What's up, Marcelino? Good to see you in here as always. Number 1, back when Crisis on Infinite Earths was going on, there were some people who were advocating for the show to kill Supergirl for several reasons. 1, they wanted it to be faithful to the original comics. 2, it would have given Supergirl bigger importance to the Crisis since Oliver and Barry played major roles. And 3, some thought it would be a great send-off for Supergirl and even better than the actual season 6 finale. What are your thoughts on this? And were you a part of that group? Did they replicate that comic book page, that comic book cover of Superman holding somebody? Was he holding Supergirl or another character? And I'm trying to remember Crisis off the top of my head.
That definitely happened, but I don't think it was during Crisis. If I remember correctly, didn't he do that during Elseworlds? I think there was a scene where he's holding Supergirl in Elseworlds. Because I vaguely remember that shot happening and thinking, oh, I get that reference.
Yeah, I think I remember a shot somewhere like that. But I don't remember what camp I was in. I mean, it is a classic moment. I think for me, I was more on the bandwagon of Barry sacrificing himself than I was of maybe Kara dying. And I didn't get that. But so no, I wouldn't have minded it though. I can understand why they would certainly wanted to have them pull that off. I would have been open-minded to it, but I don't think I was in the camp of they got to do this. I think if there was a camp of they got to do this for me for anything, it was probably the Barry Allen stuff.
Yeah, for me, I didn't think they had to do either of them, but like it would have been kind of a cool nod to the original. But I get why they couldn't, because both of them had shows still going on. As for if I think it would have been better than the actual season finale of season 6, not necessarily. So You guys probably know this. I was not a fan of Supergirl seasons 5, and then I also wasn't really a big fan of a majority of season 6 of Supergirl. So in the sense of, I think it would have been better for them to end her storyline in Crisis instead of continuing it on with 5 and 6. Yes, but one of the rare exceptions is I did think that the overall direction they went with the very ending, like the epilogue and even like bits and pieces of the final episode, I thought worked really well. Even if it did have probably one of the dumbest MacGuffins I think I have ever heard in any fictional thing ever, where Lex Luthor is like, let's meet on this bridge where science and magic don't work. I'm like, what? When was this ever established? What? This bridge there's just this bridge where you can't do magic or science? What? Still one of the most bizarre moments in Supergirl, especially with how casually they just dropped that line.
I think what's the most bizarre is that I still haven't even watched that episode, so I need to wrap up Supergirl's finale for sure. Marcelino clarifies, Supergirl was holding Brandon Routh's Superman when he was substituted for Lex after the Paragons escaped. So maybe that was what we were thinking of. Maybe the body, it was swapped. So they sacrificed, I guess, Brandon Routh's Superman.
That's right. He was, when he was like in the middle of switching and she was holding, oh my God. I remember.
So for that, I'm perfectly okay with the way that they pulled that off. I'm okay with the direction that they went. I would have preferred the Barry dying instead of Supergirl though.
That scene pissed me off, but in a good way.
Good way.
It pissed me off because I was really enjoying his version of Superman, and then to have him get replaced with Lex Luthor right there, I was like screaming at my TV, but in a good way. Like that was good writing right there. I was pissed off, but I was meant to be pissed off.
Marcelino wasn't a fan of season 6, unfortunately. Was bad and horrible and awful way to end Supergirl. There was some bright spots, but it doesn't make up for it. I'll have to check it out, man. I have to check it out for myself. I haven't had the opportunity to see it, but bummed you weren't a fan of it though. He also says recently Arrow season 3 and the Flash seasons 3, 4, and 5 have received a lot more praise for their storylines, character development, new characters, and in a way praised as good seasons. People have said that we are way too harsh on earlier seasons, and compared to what happens later on, those seasons were taken for granted. What are your thoughts, and do you feel similar? Season 3, man, it's been a minute since I've seen season 3 of Arrow. I just remember I didn't really care for the Felicity and Oliver stuff. That's really what threw me off. And I didn't really care so much for Ra's al Ghul at the time. Maybe it's one of those things that I have to go back and rewatch, Marcelino. But like for me, I honestly thought that Arrow, especially in its later seasons, maybe some people might complain about it, but I thought Arrow really reinvented itself. I didn't mind Team Arrow and what they built up. I thought we had some pretty good characters and great stories for Oliver. So the later seasons I thought were pretty good. So I have no complaints in regards to that compared to what we wind up getting in Arrow season 3. Maybe it's something that I certainly will revisit, but when it comes to Flash, especially seasons 4 and 5, I don't know if that's going to have any redeeming quality for me. Honestly, I'm probably going to stick to my guns there, but I wouldn't mind revisiting Arrow season 3 or even Flash season 3. Was that season 3 was Avatar?
Savitar, yeah.
Savitar? Okay,
yeah.
So yeah, I don't think I minded season 3 as much. A little bit of a bummer and a letdown. I think so I wouldn't mind revisiting that one also. So those are probably the 2 seasons I would revisit, but I don't know if you can convince me about seasons 4 and 5 being any good.
Yeah, I mean, I think that, Arrow season 3, I remember, it's been a minute since I've seen it, but I remember one of my biggest problems with it is that almost every issue came from just characters being really stupid.
Yeah, and then just making really dumb decisions, right?
Exactly. But I have to rewatch to say whether or not I still think that, because it has been a minute. But I didn't hate the season 3 up until like kind of maybe the second half. I felt like just, I don't know. But when it comes to the Flash seasons 3, 4, and 5, I love season 3 up until the reveal at the very end. I think that the explanation they try to come up with how Barry suddenly turned evil made no sense. And for us to believe this explanation, we have to assume that either Barry is an asshole secretly or Team Flash is an asshole secretly, like one of those two things. And I don't like that. So I just choose to ignore the ending of season 3 and look at everything else, because everything else leading up to it wasn't too bad. 4 and 5, they mostly 4, not necessarily 5 too much, but 4 has some really great moments. Like, I think when they adapted the Trial of the Flash, I actually think they did that really good. Their take on that whole storyline was great. I also thought like the beginning parts of DeVoe, right before he started doing the body snatching, that was when it kind of lost me. But before that, the actor they casted to the Thinker, sorry. What was his name?
They're the same, aren't they? DeVoe is the Thinker, isn't he?
The DeVoe is the Thinker? Okay, cool. Yeah, so it was DeVoe. Yeah. But I thought the Thinker and the casting for him was excellent until Peter Capaldi. Then I'm suddenly like, okay, now Peter Capaldi is the best Thinker ever. But before that, before James Gunn kind of proved me wrong with the Suicide Squad, I did think that this was like the perfect casting for the Thinker in the beginning of the show up until the body snatching part. And then for season 5, I can't remember. I think there were moments of season 5 that I liked. I just can't think of them off the top of my head.
No, I feel you there. It's a struggle.
But I think that all of them have that problem, is that every season after season 3 has at least like hidden like gold gems in all of them. But like there is a lot of shit you have to get through to get to that stuff.
just not consistent all the way through.
Exactly.
Sexy Boy. What's up, Sexy Boy? Follow up to last week about why SPD was awesome and its challenges. The SPD and Dino Thunder team up Wormhole was still one of my absolute favorite team ups in the franchise, while the only real downside was JDF not being asked to come back to film. It was still an awesome team up. Why I love this episode much was not only did we get to see Dino Thunder cast return one last time, but in general, we got to see them in an off-screen episode, meaning we got to see that they were still saving the world. Normally in other seasons of Power Rangers or any shows in general, we think that once the episode or entire show itself is over, we won't see them back in action, either as a filler or part of the main story. For example, 1 year later sequence in Beast Morphers, we learned that the Grid Battle Force team were up to, like Devin becoming commander, had happened off screen, while in Wormhole we got to see that both teams got to interact and fight alongside each other, even though the actual Dino Thunder season never had them included. Basically we got to see them in a secret episode, and it made sense to a degree why the Dino Rangers don't remember or reference the encounter, because the SPD Rangers wiped their memory in order to preserve the future. Considering Wormhole took place in Dino Thunder. Dino Thunder. In universe, their memories being erased technically established why in the year 3000, Time Force organization made wiping people's memories such a mandatory and standard protocol whenever someone does time travel. Yes, it was awkward that the SPD team and Commander Kruger himself wiped their own memories while still being in 2004, because they felt guilty of erasing the Dino Thunder's team's memories for the second time, now including Trent. My question, when it comes to any of your favorite TV shows or movies, what do you wish you had loved to see be brought up on screen instead of just being either mentioned as a one-off or being completely forgotten when the main story keeps going or gets revisited? What do you wish you would have loved to see brought up on screen instead of just either mentioned as a one-off or being completely forgotten when the main story keeps going and gets revisited?
Okay, I got one that I think would make a potentially really cool TV series. And that's like everything kind of going on with modern Star Trek, which I guess was technically referenced before during Enterprise, but like in Enterprise, from what I understand, I haven't seen Enterprise, so if there are any Star Trek fans here, correct me in the comments if down below. But there were temporal like agents, if I remember correctly, in Enterprise, but not like a temporal war. Whereas now in modern Star Trek, they're explaining that there's this temporal war that happened like years ago, and it's the explanation of why suddenly even though it's technically the same Star Trek timeline, it's a shifting timeline. So that's why certain events that took place years before are now taking place in a more modern, and by modern I mean our modern, not Star Trek modern type of era. So for example, Khan no longer being born in like the 90s, now being born in the 2000s, for example, and it all started with the temporal war. So I think like just the whole concept of a temporal war is so cool, but it only ever gets mentioned through dialogue. We've never really gotten to see what it actually looked like. So I would love to see a Star Trek temporal war series. Oh, I think you're muted.
Sorry, I'm chewing on like a chew bar over here.
Nice.
Those chocolate chews. I got 2, and they're both in Star Wars. And I don't know if, correct me if this doesn't answer the question or not, but number 1, Luke's Jedi Order. Brought up in Last Jedi, but we never see it. We've never seen it on screen. I mean, we got teases of it, of Ben, and the temple burning sort of thing, but we never got the opportunity to kind of see it on screen. So it just kind of mentioned, but we never really have it explored. So I would like to see a time period of Luke and his Jedi Order. I think would be great. And also from Rogue One, they mentioned the Battle of Jeddah. The idea of that particular planet that I think they find Forrest Whitaker's character on. That's got some cool like Jedi statues and things like that. But we don't know what all happened during that time period or during that particular battle. So I would probably take that one. Or even the Battle of Jakku that we see on The Force Awakens with the downed starships and things like that. On the sand planet.
Actually,
I would like to see that.
We do see the Battle of Jakku in Battlefront.
Okay. So they highlighted in the video game?
Yeah, I think it was in the first video game. But if I'm not mistaken, I think that was like DLC, which is one of the many reasons Battlefront pissed a lot of people off.
So yeah, that's probably the 3 that I would love to see if I'm going to stick in the Star Wars world. Luke's Jedi Order time that we didn't see that mentioned but never saw, and give me the Battle of Jakku live action, and then maybe even the Battle of Jeddah if we want to go even further back. So those would be some of my things that I would love to see. Peg C, what's up, Peg C? He says, "Hey Adam, hope you're doing well. What are your thoughts on the next Super Sentai series being called Bakuage Sentai Boomger?" What the fuck? Let me go ahead and pull this up. See what this is saying here. This is from the Illuminati. When was this? Hold on, it's loading real quick. Let me stop sharing this real quick. I'll come back to the questions here in a minute.
Well, I'll say this. One of the, I don't know if this is a character from the show or if it's just like concept art, but one of the characters I'm seeing in this article kind of reminds me of Omnimon. I think that was his name from Digimon.
Can you save it and then maybe post it here in the image section?
Or here, I'll just...
In the meantime, let me go ahead and pull this up. This is the Illuminati. Boomger rumors leak possible colors.
Oh, sorry, my bad. But this is the one I was talking about, like right here, like kind of towards the bottom of the article.
Oh, it's in the article?
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll see it here in a little bit. Yeah, this says, did I lose it? Hold on, add to stage. There we go. Okay. Rumors leak possible colors and exciting vehicle-themed changer. New rumors for the 48th Sentai series reveal possible Ranger colors, suit information, and the arsenal. Oh, we got silhouettes? Are these the real silhouettes? Or are they making this up? Bakuage Sentai Boomger. Rumors leak possible team colors, yada, yada, yada. Although there are no official images until the end of the year, Ranger Board has uncovered information that could give fans an idea of what the new Ranger team could be. The information includes details of a fresh new color scheme and a wrist-based henshin device. It says this was revealed in a copyright submission that Bakuage Sentai Boomger is going to be the upcoming series for 2024. Matt, known as Dukemon in the forum, I'm assuming that's the real Matt Hunt, is a huge tokusatsu fan who has become renowned for discovering information. More details revealed from rumors. Has discovered information, yada, yada, yada. Okay, so I got to bring this up. All right, more rumors. Please take with a grain of salt. There are 5 members to the core team, but they will join in an interesting order. The team starts with 3, red, blue, and pink. That reminds me of Real Soldier. And they're then joined by black and finally orange. Hey, I was expecting them to say green. But this should also mirror the release of their mechas. There is a combination, maybe one involving more than just 2 of the mechas, that is formed similarly to how Lupin Kaiser and Pat Kaiser, where the main body is formed by a giant bus mech. Again, mention of tires being prominently featured on the helmets. Ooh, tires on the helmets. Okay, so a mixture of vehicles in here. Suits are largely white in color, with the individual colors added to that for each ranger. There is a compass-like emblem on their chest, which looks like a Bokinger mark. Henshin device is a brace and a watch. I dig the color scheme. Thank you so much for bringing back orange. The concept of possible tires on their helmets, pretty cool. And I dig the base color being white, with maybe their main colors being like accented on the on there. Looks like there's a chance collectibles were removed altogether from the show. It's a vehicle motif. The mythical creatures may come into play somewhere though. Trying to get more clarity, but I think the jet mecha was a case of misinformation or misunderstanding. Seeing a lot of places talk about the bus mecha having race cars crash into it to form the first robot. That's pretty legit. A little more on the current info, just asking this is to be taken with a grain of salt because possible misinformation going on. Main robot is formed from a giant bus mecha as the main body and several racing cars that make up the rest of the robo parts. How this relates to the earlier info of the car combo, I'm not sure. And listen, I will say, while this is rumors and leaks, I usually tend to take Dukemon at their word. They've been really great for a source of information from past Super Sentai seasons. So I would definitely take a lot of this information for what it is. But again,
also, I feel really dumb. I didn't realize that the image I was looking at was just the person's profile picture.
Oh,
yeah, I thought that was like concept for for the season. I'm like, oh, that looks really anime. Oh, that's why, because it is anime.
But then we got some other ones here. It says red, blue, black, orange, and peach team, which I can see why they said orange. But that's kind of cool. I mean, it does feel like maybe with the idea of like tires and vehicles, maybe we go to what RPM vibes, Bukenger vibes. No, that's not Bukenger. Yeah, no, wait. What was RPM Super Sentai counterpart? Bukenger, right?
Oh, I don't know.
I can't remember off the top of my head. But anyway, sounds appealing, man. Sounds really promising. I still haven't watched King Oger yet, so I'm still behind. At least one full Super Sentai season, but it sounds promising, and I'm sure we're gonna get more information. How do you like the color scheme, though?
Looks interesting. Like we're so replacing yellow with orange, I think, or yeah, replacing yellow with orange. Yeah, it's an interesting color scheme. I also always love it when Rangers don't start off as a full team, so starting off with just 3 and then adding the 2 later on. I'm kind of curious because they tend to do this trope where there's either a misunderstanding or like, one side starts out as villains and then they're turned to the good side. So I'm curious if we get something like that. But yeah, all of it sounds pretty promising. But I am also behind on Sentai. I've missed the last 2 seasons. I do really want to watch the most recent one because I love the costume designs in it.
Yeah, me too. The costume designs are absolute fire. Marcelino, just going back to his question, what are your thoughts on the people who first criticized those seasons but are now praising them? I mean, look, I think we all get the opportunity to go back and change our minds. I think that's still allowed, right, Stuart?
Yeah, I mean, I look at the Star Wars prequels, how like when those came out, everyone was crapping on them. But then when the sequels came out, those people who didn't like the prequels originally hated the sequels even more, and it made them like the prequels.
Yeah, no, absolutely, man. Yeah, look, everybody has the opportunity to change their minds on things, especially if you go and revisit it and have a different perspective of it. Like Venom 2 made me, I don't want to say fully appreciate Venom that much more, but it made it an easier bitter pill for me to swallow. So yeah.
Men in Black International made me appreciate the 2016 Ghostbusters movie a lot more. Because when I saw the trailer for Men in Black International, I was thinking, this is what the 2016 Ghostbusters movie should have done. And then I saw the Men in Black International movie and I'm like, You know, the 2016 Ghostbusters movie wasn't that bad.
Yeah, man, it's amazing what other movies or shows will make you think about past ones. But yeah, if they change their mind, that's cool. I'm glad that they're appreciating them now. And what are your thoughts on the Paramount Plus developing a spin-off TMNT series called Tales of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles? I think, did we bring that up one time, Stuart?
I think so, because we brought up how the movie was going to spin off into a series and a series of sequels as well.
I can't remember the premise of that Tales of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I can't remember what they mentioned it was going to be, though.
Yeah, I look forward to it. I think the only thing that kind of concerns me, not too much, you know, just take some creative writing, but it is kind of weird that a lot of the main, sorry, I don't want to spoil this. Have you seen the most recent Ninja Turtles movie? Okay.
Mutant Mayhem? Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So it is weird with all the mutants now no longer really being evil. I am kind of curious what new directions they're going to go with in terms of a TV show, because now you've kind of, I don't want to say you fully lost your Monster of the Week format that you could have gone with, but it's going to make it like a little more challenging is all. But I still look forward to it. I hope they're able to pull off that same art style. Very curious if they'll be able to keep the animation quality as good as it was in the movie. Probably not, but I'm still looking forward to seeing what they do.
I'm trying to see if it said anything about Tales of the. I'm trying to go back to this this article in which we talked about the spin-off. Yeah, I don't think it says anything. Anyway, I'll oh, here we go. Tales of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles will be a 2D animated series with 2 seasons currently in the works, taking place between Mutant Mayhem and the upcoming sequel. You know, there's a part of me, look, you know, if you haven't seen it, spoiler warning, you know, I do believe, if I'm not mistaken, they do tease Shredder.
Yeah.
So I do wonder if maybe he gets bought up, maybe the Foot, you know, the Foot Clan is starting to cause some trouble around the city. It'd be interesting if that's how they introduce Shredder, or if you wait to introduce Shredder in the actual sequel itself. I mean, look, you can still do some Krang stuff if you absolutely wanted to as well. But again, I don't know if that's stuff that you hold off for a movie, or do you introduce in a series? That I don't know, but yeah.
You know how I'd love to see them end this trilogy? Do a Turtles Forever kind of follow-up. So like have like the final Ninja Turtles movie be the big crossover with all the other Ninja Turtles animated adaptations.
That would be epic. You know I said I only have like 2 or 3 multiverse movies left in me, but I would add that to the list if they pulled something off like that. I feel like TMNT is in its bag right now. I feel like there's a lot of like positivity around this franchise that just has been growing over the past couple of years.
Yeah. And it'd be kind of a fun way to celebrate all the, you know, the legacy of the Turtles.
Absolutely. Nathan says, time changes your perspective. It definitely does. Let's see here. Blossom, what's up, Blossom? Can you believe Cosmic Fury is almost happening? That's right, baby. 5 days away this Friday. It would be so cool to see. It would be so cool to see them all again, especially Javi. #Javi is a sexy badass. Yeah, I can't wait to see this cast again, man. I'm really looking forward to seeing what they're going to be able to do. And again, I haven't had a chance to see any early screeners. I don't know what Cosmic Fury is going to be like in these 10 episodes, but I'm really hoping that the writers just took some swings in here, man. Whether or not they succeeded or not, I hope they just take some swings to do things creatively different. So I'm looking forward to it. About Lord Zed in Dino Fury, is he from another timeline? I'm asking because I'm using his purified self for Tokyo 7, aka the Violet Zephyr Ranger. No, he's not from another timeline. I believe the monster literally just created him from, right? I believe he created him from another point in time in his life.
Yeah, he took Zed from his most evil period of time and then reincarnated
him, right?
Yeah. It was a really weird, specific resurrection power.
I'm under the assumption that the purified Zed is still out there, but this this creature just took him from a different timeline and recreated him, or brought him back to life from that moment. So it's not like it's 2 Zeds out there. At least I'm not under the impression that there is. Jessica Friedman What would you like to see in a possible 5th season of Harley Quinn? And do you think the CW will be around much longer without shows like Riverdale and The Flash and One Tree Hill? I do think that we'll get a possible 5th season of Harley Quinn. They actually released a trailer for the spinoff of Kite Man last week, right?
They did.
So there's definitely more in the tank, I think, for Harley Quinn. Even if Kite Man doesn't get a season 2, I think we at least got another season in it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've fallen a little bit behind on Harley Quinn, but I guess something. What is something I'd like to see? Yeah, I can't really think of anything off the top of my head, only because I haven't really seen season 4, so I might say something that they've already done in season 4 or 3.
Do you think the CW will be around much longer?
It will, but it won't be really the CW that we all know. It'll just be like a network that plays reruns and reality shows pretty soon. And that's not me being negative. That's just me, or I mean, it is me being negative, but this is like literally coming from the CEOs of the channel. They want this to now be a profitable channel, and you can't do that anymore with network television. You can't have expensive television shows if you want your network to be profitable. So they're gonna stick with the easy, cheap to make, and quick views, which is of course reruns and reality shows. They're, Superman and Lois getting a season 4 was kind of just like I don't know what convinced them to go for it. I'm happy they did. It was just a huge shocker given everything else that they've canceled and they have no interest in going back to.
Yeah, I was kind of shocked too. And then now that we got the delays and stuff, it's like, well, are you still gonna pull the trigger on it if we have to wait that much longer?
They say it's coming summer of 2024. So it'll
like
be
a released.
Yeah, or like not
like
necessarily
production?
release or production. Yeah, I think production they say is going to start summer 2024, assuming that the strikes end by then. But I'm not getting my hopes too high up, honestly.
It also wouldn't surprise me though if the CW actually like changed their name, rebranded themselves within like the next 4 or 5 years or something like that. So I don't know. I am kind of curious if the CW. I personally don't think the CW will be around much longer. I think once you've removed those shows, you're really telling the public, hey, we want to be something else different. So I do wonder if they would change their name, but we'll see. We'll have to see.
We shall indeed.
Johnny Marrero, he's got 3 quick questions. What do you think of the Cosmic Fury clip from Hasbro PulseCon? I enjoyed the clip. I did a review on the first clip. It was only like a 6-minute video I did over on our YouTube page. Certainly go ahead and check it out. But I was impressed with the usage of the drone footage. Even the idea of like having the drone sort of fly through the rubble of some of the explosions that have, that were taking place. I thought that was actually a pretty cool look. And to me, it just gives me an idea of how big and how epic some of these battle sequences might end up being in Cosmic Fury. So again, I hope that they take some of their own liberties and give us something pretty intense here. But I think I'm gonna be impressed. But I did like the clip.
Yeah, I gave my thoughts in the beginning and I thought it was awesome. Before we get to the second part of the question, just want to bring up this comment. Yeah, what I meant was I wanted a follow-up to Turtles Forever. So like including the previous 2 Nickelodeon seasons, the 1 Cartoon Network season, and of course the original 1980 season, all in this all teaming up with this current Ninja Turtles team. But yeah, I did watch Turtles Forever and I thought that was a pretty funny movie.
Once Cosmic Fury airs, are you going to miss the main series as a whole?
Definitely, yeah. It was fun. When I started rewatching Power Rangers, and then from Dino Charge on, I kept up with it. Even when the show got really bad, it was still just kind of a fun thing that I could like look forward to. And it kind of feels like network television, like this was like the closest thing I had to my last link to network television. I feel like now once this show has ended, I can't think of any other network television besides Superman and Lois. I can't think of any other network television shows I'm going to be looking forward to watching weekly at specific times like I did with Power Rangers. So I'm going to miss that. I'm definitely going to miss that.
Yeah, I'll definitely miss it as a whole. Look, I'm to be honest, I am really eager to see what new comes out of all this. I think my anticipation level is very much towards the Power Rangers reboot. But I will miss Power Rangers as a whole. I'm not gonna lie, I'm not gonna miss the Power Ranger discourse though. That's for sure. But once this season wraps up, I'm gonna be pretty thankful that it's gone. But overall, I will miss it. I mean, look, 30 years. It's not like many franchises out there get the opportunity to run as long as it has. So props to them and what they've been able to accomplish in such a long time. But I will miss its current iteration. But when I look at Power Rangers these days, it's one of those things where it's like, if I don't have Power Rangers, that's cool. I've got Super Sentai I can fall back on if I really miss it that much. And I'll look forward to seeing what they do with Power Rangers in the future.
Yeah.
Do you think Campbell Cooley is the new voice of Lord Zed? Because I can tell you by Lord Zed's snarl and growl that describes Campbell Cooley's voice. But what do you think? And when I was doing my first clip, I think I did mention that, like, it sounds like it might be Campbell Cooley that's taking over as Lord Zed. I don't think that they've announced, or like the Twitter handle, the Power Scoop, I don't think that they've announced like new cast members to take over, like voice acting for Lord Zed. So it wouldn't surprise me if Campbell Cooley picked up the duties. I don't have that confirmed, but that's my first assumption.
Because, like, didn't the original voice actor leave because of the online discourse around him?
Yeah.
I definitely don't blame him. I will say this: it is too bad, because I do think that, like, it was rough in his first appearance, but I do think he got better before the end of the series. So I will say that is too bad that, like, the fans attacked him the way they did. I think that was very uncalled for.
Yeah, definitely a bummer, man. And then last but not least, the most talented man alive, I Suck My Own Balls, is here today. He says, it's been more than a year since Black Panther Wakanda Forever came out. Did it exceed your expectations, considering it was one of the most anticipated films to come out and which dealt with the aftermath of Chadwick Boseman's passing? Where do you think a third film could go? And do you even think it's necessary for a trilogy? Following Shuri as the new Black Panther and Riri Williams as Ironheart, do you still think we'll get an Ironheart series down the road? And how do you think Wakanda Forever might have gone originally, either before? Okay, well, let's do one of them at a time. So, did it exceed your expectations, Stuart? Wakanda Forever, or considering it one of them? Well, yeah, did it exceed your expectations?
Yeah, no, I thought Wakanda Forever was actually one of the better movies of Phase 4. And, it came out at a time where, for the first time in my life, I started to feel emotions during movies that I hadn't really felt before. So because of that, Black Panther Wakanda Forever actually kind of made me tear up at times. I thought the way they handled the emotion, and how a lot of Phase 4 in Marvel was about kind of grieving in a lot of ways, because you had that with Spider-Man No Way Home, and now you had it with Wakanda Forever. I thought it was done in a really good, and to my opinion, respectable. I can't speak for the family, of course, of Chadwick Boseman. I know that they apparently have their own thoughts on the movie, and I definitely respect that. But to me, it felt like it was done pretty respectfully. But that's just my opinion.
Yeah, I thought his passing was handled very well. I would agree with you. This movie did make me emotional. I certainly got choked up a couple times in here. I thought Tenoch Huerta, that played Namor, I thought he did a really great job in here. I was a big fan of Shuri, honestly, especially her taking over the Black Panther mantle, and not being as sort of I don't want to say as heroic, but maybe taking up the mantle for some of the wrong reasons. I appreciated that it wasn't Chadwick Boseman's T'Challa, same exact mindset for Shuri. The fact of who she sees in that moment of acquiring that ability, I think speaks volumes. And I dig that attitude change. I really do dig that Shuri is coming at the Black Panther mantle from a different perspective in this movie. And I found it kind of riveting. So I was a really big fan of both of them. But if anything, it did exceed my expectations, or at least met them. I was a fan of Wakanda Forever for sure.
We definitely have someone who disagrees with us on that.
Eh,
That's totally fine.
Understandable. Yeah,
Yeah.
understandable. There are plenty of people out there that either didn't want to see this movie made, especially because of Chadwick being gone, didn't want to see Shuri pick up the mantle, maybe somebody else. So everybody's definitely allowed their own opinion. But for me, at least, Wakanda Forever certainly worked out. And the fact that I think Angela Bassett gets nominated for an Oscar in here, just an incredible and powerful performance for her. Really bummed that she didn't win. She should have won. I think she got screwed here. But I thought for the most part, with not having Chadwick Boseman around, I think they did as best as they could. If there was anything about the movie I didn't care for, too much Agent Ross. I really could have, the Agent Ross, the him in the relationship with the I can't remember her name now.
Oh yeah, it's like Kramer, right?
Yeah, but I didn't care for that aspect. But everything else, it was good.
You just reminded me of that major thing I really hated in Secret Invasion, and how Secret Invasion and Wakanda Forever cannot be in the same universe. It makes no sense. Just with Agent Ross, what they do in Secret Invasion, they're just the story does not add up. When you compare the two shows.
Where do you think a third film could go? And do you think it's even necessary for a trilogy?
No, I think they need to do another movie because of the way they left things off. It seems like not Atlantis. Sorry, I totally forgot the name of the underwater civilization.
I know who you're talking about, though.
Yeah, but it seems like they really want to basically force Wakanda into war that they don't want, and so they're going to try to keep doing these attacks on the U.S. government, making it seem like Wakanda's responsible, and eventually it's going to lead to retaliation. And, despite the fact that Wakanda isn't going to want war, they also want to, defend themselves. So eventually you're going to have a war between the U.S. government and Wakanda, and I think that's when the not Atlantis civilization is gonna basically kind of come in just to make things even worse. I feel like there were so many seeds set up, and with how how metaphorically it kind of relates to real world politics and real wars kind of like that happen, especially in the early 2000s over oil and things like that. I think there's just a great story that can be told there that they did a good job of exploring in Black Panther 2, and that they could really explore more with the third movie. Something I remember bringing up to you, how earlier we were talking about how something worse can, make us appreciate something that wasn't so bad. It was part of that question when it came to The Flash. Well, that's what it was it was almost the opposite, but with Black Adam, because when I went into that, I was like, oh, there's so many interesting themes that they could explore with this movie, but it's a superhero movie, so of course they're not going to. And then watching Black Panther Wakanda Forever, where they do explore those type of themes, I'm like, oh yeah, that's right, superhero movies are do explore this type of stuff, and it just made me hate Black Adam even more.
Even more.
Yeah.
I do think that we're going to get a third film. I still expect Shuri to be having the mantle unless they've given it to somebody else when we come in. And I think just the cliffhanger alone, or how they set up that last scene, I think going to have grave importance going into a third movie. And I am kind of curious to see how the kid kind of fits into all of it. I'm not expecting him to become some Black Panther at 12 or 13 years old, but it is one of those things where I am kind of curious to see what they're going to do with him kind of going forward. So a lot of moving pieces still to be resolved.
They might cheat and pull an angel, have a demon capture him for 5 minutes, and then return. And turned out he was in an alternate dimension, so now he's an adult.
An adult now?
Yeah.
I was thinking maybe they'll do a time jump or a time skip, but then by that time it's how far in the future do you go? And then does that mean Black Panther 3 will never line up with the MCU's timeline because you've done a huge time jump of 10, 15 years? So I expect him to still be a kid. I expect Shuri to maybe still have the mantle, but I think there's a lot of great story to be told, especially with the revelation at the end of that movie. Mm-hmm. And then lastly, do you think we'll still get an Ironheart series down the road? I still think so. I don't even know if it's on the release docket right now, but it has been filmed.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds promising, the idea of tech versus magic. I do wonder if it's a case though of like Armor Wars got turned from a series to a movie, if they'll plan to do that with Ironheart or not. But they might be able to still get away with that as a series. So I am still expecting a series to come.
Yeah, I also think a series personally. Maybe
right.
it'd be kind of funny. I feel like if any studio could get away with this, it's probably Marvel. If they ever wanted to make shorter movies but put them in as a double feature, kind of like how like a lot of anime movies will be like 50-minute movies, but it'll be part of a double feature, so you'll have two 50-minute movies. It'd be kind of interesting because I think you could do that with Armor Wars and Ironheart, have them as like a double feature.
You know what, Power Rangers Legacy, I just refreshed this. I might take this comment to next week, since it kind of came in a little bit late. It's so long though. All right, let's just knock this out because I don't want to do an additional video. Power Rangers Legacy, just be a little bit more timely on when you drop these. Isn't it hilarious that Beast Morphers felt more like an anniversary season than Super Mega Fail and Ninja Steel were? Beast Morphers managed to cater to the entire lore of Power Rangers. Unlike Super Mega Fail, we had really great cameos by Dr. K and Colonel Truman from RPM, whereas Mega Fail gave us really bad ones, with the exception of the Jungle Fury episode with the return of Casey, considering Jason Smith himself was one of the writers. When Saban did a tribute episode to RPM, he got so many things wrong. Like, he thought the RPM dimension was just another city in the main universe, and didn't bring anyone back, even using the Sentai footage from Go-Onger as Corinth, by having the Rangers spend an entire episode yelling at the Red Falcon Racer Zord. Even though we just had Scott and the Clash of the Red Rangers mini team up movie, which already confirmed that RPM was in an alternate dimension. Dr. K's cameo was actually meaningful, where she got to share her experience of creating Venjix when Nate was traumatized by accidentally recreating him as Venjix. While the Ranger Vault was never explained, it was really cool seeing old morphers and weapons. My headcanon was that all the stuff were pulled from the Ranger archives, or Billy had collected a bunch of old Ranger gear over the years and gave it to Grid Battle Force for safekeeping after starting up Cranston Technologies, which could also be how Jason already knew of Grid Battle Force during Grid Connection. But yeah, Beast Morphers did a way better job honoring the lore of Power Rangers than Saban did. Even Dino Fury did an even better job at paying homage to the lore. Yeah, I would agree. And I think Cosmic Fury is going to do an even better job. So, Simon Bennett and that crew have been doing a really good job of connecting a lot of these past seasons and giving us a lot of great things to remember. So, but thank you for that, Power Ranger Legacy. But that will do it for all of our live viewer questions. Any last comment for that, Stuart?
Not just that I really agree. I do think that Beast Morphers actually, despite it not being an anniversary season, felt like it was an anniversary season.
Yeah, I totally agree with you there. But all right, man. I think other than that, that will do it for our live viewer questions and honestly our show for the day. So thank you, each and every one of you who certainly joined us today, had the opportunity to share in some discussions, hitting that like button for us, sending in your questions this week. We always certainly do appreciate it. But we probably will be back next weekend as well. So definitely look forward to that. Probably going to be dropping some additional content for you guys this week. We have an Ahsoka review headed your guys' way. If I get around to the Continental, maybe I'll do a little season 1 or 3-part review for you guys in one. But we'll definitely continue to have more content your way throughout the week. But until then, Stuart, if people want to try and find you on social media, where can they find you?
You guys can find me on Instagram at TurboStew01. And of course, you guys can find me here every Sunday at A+ Hero Report.
We are currently on TikTok right now. So if you want to find us on TikTok, at Hero Report is the way to go. If you like audio versions of the show, we do have audio podcasts. You can go ahead and find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or pretty much wherever you certainly listen to your podcast at A+ Hero Report. And of course, if you want to follow us on social media at A+ Opinions, very active over on Facebook, which is our main hub for all of our news, trailers, and posters throughout the week. So definitely follow us there. You can catch us on Twitter and Instagram as well as Threads. But other than that, guys, that's going to do it for us here today. We certainly will see you guys sometime next week. But until then, do us a big favor as always, y'all. Take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and keep it A+. We'll talk to you later. Bye.